boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Booner. Lucas, it is Tuesday, February 18th. We are back. We're not coming off a fresh mock draft Monday. We got more to get into today. Best free agent fit for the Lions. Calvin Shepard and John Morton talked to Dan Miller. We actually have the clips from that. We'll get into some discussions regarding that. Klotzy's got a guy for you.
Now here's a guy. A little spin on it this week. Boone requested something for us to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to break down this week. And that might not be a draft player that we're doing.
I said I want a variety, Klotz. I want a little bit of a, sprinkle a little bit of free agents in there too. I mean, we're going to talk the draft a lot. I want some free agents in there. I think I already know who you're.
Need a refresher every once in a
honestly,
while.
I think I know who you're going to pick, and I hope you didn't spoil it already. I would say that because I think you.
I said it. Got it cooking.
Yeah, I don't like that. That I already know now. Hey, that's social media that's content 101. You can't spoil. No. You can't spoil it early. Not a segment.
It's all right. It's got a whopping. Hold on.
I didn't want to see it
so far.
I didn't want to see it. I like the surprise on. Hey,
okay,
on
I won't send it to you next time.
No, hey, just tweet it out. Hey, schedule it for 9:15 every day.
All right, fair. But I can do that. You can compromise there.
Got me, man. I'm pumped up though. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your reasoning why though. It should be a fun show though. I'm pumped up. So, how about yesterday was a fun show too, huh? Little Dan Skipper. Yo.
Yeah. This is the good vibes today. I mean, there are sad vibes in the community, especially the Detroit Lions community, fan community. And I want to take a second before we get into it. We're going to have all show. We're talking a lot of Lions, talk about free agents, talk about draft stuff, golf. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention a big shout out and just give praise to a kind of a pillar in the Detroit sports community, Lions, but everything. And that is World of Isaac. He's been battling cancer. And I know he's been kind of off the grid and he's had a huge impact on our lives. And I know you boys, I know you specifically, Boone, you can speak on that. But I just want to say, first off, thoughts and prayers from us, the Crunch Time community, and us to him, his family. Like he's a warrior and he's been battling this terrible. I mean, cancer is the absolute worst, man. And he's been fighting it for a while. And he posted something on Twitter today just talking about how he's been journaling and he's officially on hospice. So it's terrible news. But again, I wanted to at least mention to Isaac that we're with you. We love you. And prayers for just peace during this time, man. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Tough. Yeah, I'd say too, I don't think people realize, I was telling you before the show, Jeff, you see how funny Isaac is and just he was one of the best, probably not even just in Detroit, but you see national praise for Isaac. He was one of the funniest dudes on Twitter in the sports world, one of the best dudes. And I don't think people realize in the city of Detroit, in the Detroit sports media world, for me, I told you, Jeff, before, I wouldn't be doing media if it wasn't for Isaac. I reached out to people all around the news world, the sports world. Adam, when he was at Woodward, I reached out to him a million times, barely got back, wasn't fit. I reached out to Isaac instantly. He started emailing me, texting, going back and forth, and helped me get into this. And he's the only reason I got a job at Woodward when that happened. There's no. I said it a couple times to Adam, joking around over the last 3 years since I've been doing this. There's no Booner without Isaac. And I message back and forth with him all the time about that. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm great dude, man. I think, and that's just him kind of helping me out. I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of people that he's impacted in that way in the Detroit sports world and the community here. So it's always tough, someone like that who's kind of, like you said, Jeff, a pillar in Detroit media company, not company, industry. It's it's a tough one. It's a tough one to see for sure.
and I know Coach said, can you donate anywhere? There's not a link. There's not a link to donate at this point. I don't, if there is anything, I will let you guys know. But yeah, he's just made a huge impact on the Detroit sports scene. So want to make sure we show love to him. He's always been very supportive of mine. I didn't get a chance to talk to him a ton, but crossing paths at Woodward, our former employer, he's always supported me. He's always had my back behind the scenes. But prayers to him, man.
I'll say too. I mean, I can only hope in my career going forward to be able to do what he's done for people. You know what I mean? Like I would love to be able to help people out like he helped me out. And motivate people and like give advice. Like I was looking at the email, one of the emails he sent me, and he had like 7 bullet points. And I don't even know if I asked for it, but he just sent me like 7 bullet points of things like do this, and you're gonna be like, he's like, don't let people judge you. Don't worry about, like, you know how you boys on the chat, I'm always going at the chat. Like one of them in there, don't listen to anyone from the like that's trying to get under your skin. Like just all these different things. Like the first one, boys, was literally just be Booner. And like that's like I go back and read that today. I'm like that's like unbelievable just thinking about like that and like how he impacted at least me and my career. And I hope that we can do it like us boys at Crunch Time to a million other people and just try and be like half of what he was or is. I'm gonna say was, but is, in this industry. So amazing dude. Prayers to him though and his family and all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's get into this ESPN list. I saw it today. Well, first they have the Lions on here, and essentially this ESPN article talked about best fits for free agents. They have the Lions, but before we get to that, I have a Lions player that a free agent that they thought would be a best fit with this team, and that player is Kevin Zeitler. Okay, and they have where he would be a great fit.
No,
and I was actually texting Doc about this earlier because Doc was messaging me about it, and he just hit me up today. He's like, "Hope you have a good start to the week," and he like threw like a topic at me. He just was like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" And Kevin Zeitler, it feels like at this point there's a crowd that expects him to resign, and then there's another crowd that maybe he's like a little more worried about if he's going to leave or not. I tend to lean on I think he'll be back, and I'll explain why. But the best fit that ESPN believes is the Tennessee Titans.
All right, that was not the team that I was expecting.
I thought you were going to say like another contending team. I had no clue. That's unbelievable.
And this is why this is completely wrong. Now, if he was going to leave, I would assume it would be for, like you said, Booner, a contender. I feel like Kevin Zeitler at this point in his career, I mean, he might be, I think he's like 36 years old, like 35, 36 years old. He's not, if it's not for a team that's going to win a Super Bowl, he's not playing for that team.
Yeah.
That's how he thinks. So if it's not the Lions, it better be the Chiefs or something. It's not going to be the Tennessee Titans.
The best part about this is just the beginning, the first sentence. The Titans need to rebuild the right side of their offensive line. So let's go get how old is he? 35, a 35-year-old guard. Like it's not gonna happen. Honestly, I think Zeitler's coming back. I don't think there's any question about it. Like I don't think that like the only thing that would be like you don't want to pay Zeitler that much money. I think Zeitler's at the point of his career. He wants a Super Bowl. He was already in Detroit and it seemed like he loved it here. Family loved it here, and it's like I feel like he was willing to take a little, not a pay cut, but he's not going to sit there and ask for a massive deal. Like he's like, hey, let's just do another 1-year deal. Like he's probably at that point of his career. Honestly, there's no way he'll be like, yeah, I'll go sign a long-term deal to go rebuild with the Tennessee Titans. Like no, he's past that point of his career. That's crazy, though, the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans are disgusting. That is probably, if you could go on probability of happening, the Titans would be in the 1% of happening. I'm on like the 50-50 side of things because I think it's very easy to see Kevin Zeitler coming back to Detroit. But at the same time, it's very easy to see him go to the Kansas City Chiefs. Very easy to see him go to the Washington Commanders, teams that won a Super Bowl and maybe can offer him a little bit more money. You can't be mad at him if he leaves for more money. At the end of the day, I do think there's a chance that he returns, but it'll be on a 1-year deal. So that's something that won't be having to pay a lot of money for. But I do see Zeitler returning. I think it's important that he does return. If not, you better figure out a way to replace him. And it's tough to see with Zeitler, but I hope he does return. I think he was the 3rd graded guard at 35-year-old, like you guys said. Putting him next to Penei Sewell, I'm completely fine with running it back.
Yeah, I think you have to. I would be shocked, to be honest. Wasn't it Brad that came out and was like, "That's a priority"? Him and Carlton are like priorities for them.
Yeah, they're going to do everything they can.
So yeah, I don't see a world where Brad's like, "I want this guy back," and you don't get him back. Like Brad's going to make sure he comes back. So I'm not even going to say 50-50 Klotz. I'm going to say it's like 85-15. Like I'm pretty confident that Kevin Zeitler will be wearing the Honolulu blue next year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see it. Now, they do have the Lions on here for the best free agent fit for them. And I don't know why this just keeps getting brought up. And that player is Chase Young.
No. Hey, who brought him up last time? Who was that? Who would have done that?
Well, you know, the ESPN things, and they write here. Here's a fun one. Oh, yeah, it's a fun one. Detroit coach Dan Campbell could add Young to pair with Aiden Hutchinson off the edge. Young notched 5.5 sacks with the Saints in 2024. His 46 pressures ranked for 11th most in the league. Oh, people love pressures. Everyone loves those. He'd be a low-risk signing with upside. I'll say, now, for the player, no, but for that last sentence, that's Brad Holmes right there.
Yes.
The low-risk player with high upside. It's Davenport.
Does he have a torn ACL? Absolutely. So let's add that to the measure here. This just
I mean, played in his
things.
first full season of his career this last year, 17 games. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out. Listen, I'm throwing it out there like, Jeff, we're not asking for guys. And I think we've all been on, we've said it like we love guys to get sacks, but we just said we need pressure from the other side of Hutch. Like that's like the most important thing is to get just the pressure on the other side. It's not really the finishing. It's like we have zero pressure on the man was 11th in the NFL in pressures. I'm not saying I want him. I'm not saying it, but what I'm saying is I played 17 games and he's probably got like what can someone pull up the contract projection? You could probably get him for a 1-year deal and very, very like honestly, probably get him on a deal like you would get Marcus Davenport. Would you rather have Marcus Davenport or Chase Young?
Chase Young, without a doubt.
Yeah, so to me, it's like if this happens and it's around the same price, maybe a little more, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh man, Brad, why'd you do this? I'm gonna be like, okay, like the man was 11th in the NFL in pressures, and you're putting that on the other side of Hutch, and you could still draft. Like he could end up being like a rotational guy.
Those pressures are like a hook. It's like you throw it out. Someone's like pressure, and they just bite on it. It's like, here we go.
There's a difference though from Hutch pressures and the other side of Hutch pressures. We never got the other side of Hutch pressures. It's always Hutch pressures. We've never seen. I mean, you could combine every single player that was on the other side of Hutch this last year, and they probably still don't even have 46 pressures all season.
No,
like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I feel like at that point, like, as long as he's healthy, we're getting a little bit picky, you know? I'm sorry. I'm not going to.
If you sign Chase Young, like, that's just all seriousness. His role would be third down, like James Houston. That is what he is. Like, he's not playing the run. He can't.
Chase Young could play the run. He can play. Let's put it like this. I'm not jumping up and down if you sign Chase Young, but I literally laughed at my phone and tossed it on the couch when I saw that the Lions signed Marcus Davenport for 1 year, $6.5 million. Now, I would say, I'm not saying bring in Chase Young, but he'd be better than Marcus Davenport. So I will say, Boone, you're not far off.
Listen, it's not me. I'm not pounding the table here for Chase Young. But, all right, put aside what Chase Young is, Ohio State, like whether people hate him or not. Production-wise, like what did he make this year? $9 million? I think he made $9 million. Did he do anything to really get a raise? 5.5 sacks? Probably not. Like most likely around the same price. You're not going to be mad if they sign Chase Young. I just don't think you will. I think that'd be a little unrealistic if you were to. You're just like, okay, he's going to give you production. Obviously, it's not like people in the chat are like Khalil Mack Booner. Like, obviously, you would rather have a Khalil Mack or Myles Garrett. But, like, listen, if I would be disappointed, yes. Would I care? No. I think that's fair to say, right? Like, that's a fair statement on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, No. Apparently PFF. Not you, Boone, but the pressure people will love this one. PFF has him at 66 pressures, 7th in the NFL. So whatever narrative you want to use, you can go with PFF, you can go with whatever else. So he can rush the passer. I mean, I want to trust my teammate Klotzy and say he's good against the run. I'm just going off.
Hey, sorry, Spencer. Shout out Spencer though. Legend. $9 million to go to work 5 times a year. Played in 17 games this year. 17 games. He was healthy. First time in his career.
That is the light at the end of the tunnel, Boone. That was like the hook that, like what Jeff was saying with the pressures. I can give a fuck about pressures. Honestly, like if you're bringing in Chase Young as a rotational piece, all right, I'm here.
Beautiful.
For it. If you're putting him out there as the starter, I have a massive issue with what is going on with the defensive line again.
They also have
that didn't turn out well, huh?
They also have Khalil Mack on this list, and his best fit. It's not the Lions.
Chicago, probably.
What does he have? Who else is on that list? Can you pull it up or no? Is it like is there like ads and stuff on it?
No.
I haven't seen this list. I didn't see this article.
No, I can pull it up. Let me see. Let me pull it up. All right. It's ranked, so it's like the
Chase
top.
Young to the Lions. Wow, who brought that up last week? I think I had that in my cash or pass. My ball might have passed, to be honest.
T. Higgins, and by the way, this is who's
great for the. Oh my gosh, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, the Commanders for T. Higgins. They got Trey Smith, the Bears. Like, okay, like I can listen to these. You know, like some of these are like Ronnie Stanley back with the Ravens. Like
DJ Reed, Patriots. Wow.
Yeah, some guys are leaving. Some guys they put them back where they were. Like Darnold, the Raiders. Actually, that's
great one. Great one. Yeah.
Like Josh Sweat, they have Arizona Cardinals.
That fits.
So
Josh Sweat's about to get paid so much, though, isn't he? Like,
yeah, I want nothing to do with Josh Sweat.
He's gonna make so much. He's gonna make a lot of money for, and it's like, all right, let's see you on a different D line. Interested.
Yeah, I mean they got Milton Williams to the Patriots. That's another Eagles guy. Khalil Mack to the Packers.
That would be a disaster, if I'm just being honest. That would be a disaster.
I wouldn't like that. Yeah, him and Gary would be nasty.
With the linebackers that they have.
Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
Khalil
Mack to the pack. That would not be.
I hate that.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's
it's good for them, but
it's not a massive needle mover though. But it's just something you'd rather see him land in the AFC or just some other conference besides the NFC North, because we're just scarred from what he was with the Bears. Honestly, like Khalil Mack, Chicago Bears, Khalil Mack was up there with probably one of the better defensive players in my lifetime. Like he was dominant. Like, I would put him. Like I'd say when he was in Chicago, he's better than like a Max Crosby or Nick Bosa is right now.
I'll say he had less pressures than Chase Young.
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm joking.
Not a chance.
All right. Yeah. Chardavius Ward, they have it the Steelers. So opposite of Joey Porter. It's a pretty good one. And yeah, they get into a lot. Like Zach Bond back with the Eagles. I mean, they also had Drake Greenlaw to the Colts, Hassan Reddick to the Commanders.
That'd be a nice fit.
Yeah, like the Commanders, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that another day. But they're gonna be a good team for a little bit here. Zach Martin, Chiefs. Hufanga back with the 49ers. Like Carlton Davis, they have it the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ironic. What was that, Pops, that day, Hefe? Was that – that'd be tough because we saw that Tre'Davious Ward signed with – they had the Steelers in there. That would be tough because you saw DJ Reed went to the Patriots. If you walk out of this free agency losing Carlton Davis and you're not signing one of those bigger fish at the cornerback
you're in trouble.
I agree. We've seen numerous times where it's just, okay, you can try to have Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph back there to kind of touch up the back end of the secondary. You can have Amik Robinson in the slot, but then you got to move Amik Robinson to the outside because of injuries. If Carlton Davis isn't your starter, who's starting? Terrion Arnold as your cornerback one? I think Terrion's going to get better, but you're not winning a Super Bowl like that with the wide receivers in the NFC. No way, no how. Then you're going to ask Ennis Rakestraw to step up and play outside if you go draft another rookie corner? No, you have to find a way. I know we say edge is important because it is, but I think it's like, one, 1A is edge, but like 1B is corner, especially if you lose Carlton Davis, because I think Carlton's another guy that people are just being like, oh, he'll be back in Detroit. He's a vet. He's going to want to chase a ring. Why would he want to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars and make a lot of money? No state tax included. Well, probably because he's already won a ring in Tampa Bay. The man, if he's going to go get paid, you can't blame him. He's already a Super Bowl champion. So there's definitely a chance he doesn't return.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. You cannot, like, that's the problem. Hold on, Flannel. Shout out Flannel in the chat. I just read his comment. I think I'm the only human in Detroit who doesn't hate Chase Young. Flannel, you're not, because I just said, hey, if he comes to Detroit, I'm not mad. I'm not. I mean, the man he was almost top 10 in pressure.
I wouldn't be mad. I just wouldn't be like.
I think people.
Fine. He'd be fine.
I just think people think like like I see people in the chat. Oh, like I don't know if they're saying like attitude problems or doesn't have a high motor. He's a problem. He doesn't play hard. Like I don't like, to me that's just like, come on.
My concern with
you guys don't think the Lions culture is built and the defense built? You think he's going to come in and ruin that? Like, have we seen that with anyone yet? Besides maybe what's his name? That was the big fella in the middle. Don't think we have.
The thing I look at with Chase Young is he's the last like 2 years, he just can't find a home. And that's what's concerning to me. Like no team wants to, even for like a prove it year, no one's bringing him back. Like the 49ers literally said bye.
Do you guys think Dan Campbell and the culture is good enough to be able, like, honestly, boys, like, what's one thing that people have been saying the last year with free agents? No one could come in here and ruin what the culture is. But then with a guy like Chase Young, people are like, oh, no.
No, he won't ruin the culture. It's just like, I get the people that might bringing up taking plays off, but he can get after the quarterback. That's what you're looking for.
That's all that matters. Get him in here, get him with Dan Campbell, get everything on track, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, Jay-Z's right. CJ was the closest thing to like the worst thing. And
I don't think Chase Young's even.
No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I think it's fine.
Like,
and CJ didn't even like come in and like really like mess any of the culture or anything up. Like he kind of did embrace it. It was just more so when he left. That was kind of, to me.
Yeah, but like
when it all went downhill. That was crazy. I'm not gonna. That was just a different.
Like level. He put a target on everyone's back when he got there.
Sure.
That's the only thing I didn't like. Like no one else is doing that. You know.
To be fair, he did the blue ski mask. The whole fan base bought into it. It wasn't. You can't be like it was the worst. Everyone bought into
DJ Gardner-Johnson when he was in Detroit.
I don't think it
was
that.
He was a guy that you love to have on your team and you hate to play against. Like when CJ Gardner-Johnson's making an interception and he's talking his shit, like you love that. When it's on another team or a rival team or the team that you're playing, you can't stand him. But like especially before his injuries, like people were excited about CJ Gardner-Johnson. When the Lions signed him, everybody was freaking the fuck out.
I went at Flannel for a year straight over defending him. I don't know. I got to a point where like I saw the light and I was like, I don't know if I enjoyed this experience. I don't know if I enjoyed the CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Looking back at it, I think like his reaction over the last, like especially the comments he made the last month, everything that happened, I would think that like people like, hey, no, we don't like him.
Like the role he took on, I guess they did need like a lead. I guess they did need like a voice, but I don't want that dude leading the defense. Like I don't want that guy. Like he kind of spoke for the defense when he was here. I was like, I don't know if he's that guy. I don't know. Whatever. All right. We'll get to some of the coordinator talk because we were going to get there eventually. We have some videos. We're not going to play them quite yet, but I wanted to get into a discussion with you fellas, and then we'll get into the defense because I actually have something interesting on the defense because I found something that I think is going to be very interesting. I think it goes back, if I'm not mistaken, what is this? Back to 2000, defensive and offensive ranks for Super Bowl winners. I have a whole spreadsheet where I'm going to show you guys just kind of like a nice, where the Lions, based on history, need to kind of be on both sides of the ball. We'll get to that later. But first, I want to ask you guys, now that the coaching staff is officially assembled, all right, you got your coordinators, you got your wide receiver coach now, Scotty Montgomery, you got Tashard Choice, your running back coach. There's a lot of, good coaches that were hired. You even got Bruce Gradkowski, the Toledo man, a part of the offensive staff. If I asked you, and it could be interpreted in different ways. You don't have to just pick a coordinator. You can pick any coach, if you have an argument for him. Out of all the coaches on the staff, besides Dan, obviously, who do you think will make the biggest impact? I'd ask you the biggest impact on a player, on a side of the ball, on a position group.
This is
what
tough.
Coach do you think will have the biggest impact this season?
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it, Boone.
I kind of have two. Should I stick with one for now and let you guys
Stick with
go
one,
after?
Boone. Yeah, stick with one.
Are you guys sure?
Yeah, go. Yeah,
All right, I'll do one.
because you might take one of ours if you go two.
I really hope you guys don't say. Okay. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say David Shaw, boys. I'm gonna go David Shaw. I think offensively, when you got John Morton in, and we're going to talk about John Morton in a little bit and the impact he's going to have on guys like Jared Goff and JMO and all of that. But I think like bringing John Morton in is big time and great as the OC. But I think adding a guy like David Shaw to the staff, someone who has been a head coach, I think he was a head coach for 10 plus years. Like it's not like he was a head coach for a small amount of time. It was like a long time he was a tenured head coach. And I think the experience that he brings, everyone around the NFL looked at David Shaw as an OC in the NFL. Like, hey, he needs his shot again. He needs to get a shot. What's his name? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Rich Eisen was like just hammering the table this year, not last year, not the year before, not the year. This year was hammering the table for David Shaw to get the head coaching job in Chicago. He thought David Shaw should have been the head coach in our division. And you didn't just sign him on as your OC or anything like he is your pass game coordinator. You went from Tanner Engstrand to David Shaw as your pass game coordinator. And I think offensively, you're going to see all these different minds, the Hank Fraley, Scotty Montgomerys, all these guys working together as one to put together an unbelievable product offensively and hopefully still keep this product at the top of the NFL. But I think David Shaw offensively is going to keep this thing together. And I think that's like the secret weapon. I said it a couple weeks ago. I think David Shaw was the best hire that Dan Campbell made this offseason. I truly believe that. I truly do. And I think it just comes off with the leadership, the head coaching, and all of that aspect of putting him in the locker room, especially when you lose the coordinators that you did. So David Shaw would be my answer, passing game coordinator. Little off in right field there, though. So
no. You honestly, this question isn't like black and white. Like it isn't like you got to pick one of the coordinators. You can go with any coach, and that's why I'm going to go with Hank Fraley because of Giovanni. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Give me Dan Skipper.
I have a coach that I think will make a huge impact. And I've been watching him from afar. I don't know this man. I don't know too much about him. But what I do know is the impact he'll make on a position group that you desperately need. And that is Casey Rogers. That is the guy I think will have the biggest impact because when you talk about Aiden Hutchinson coming off that injury he sustained to really ruin his whole season, when you talk about Aleem McNeil coming back, when you talk about Josh Paschal now in year 3, 4, you're going to draft a rookie. If they bring in Myles Garrett, you're going to need these guys to produce and get after quarterbacks, and not just that, but be stout in the run game. And I think Casey Rogers, he's called plays before. So I'm looking at it from two angles. One, on the defensive line, actually getting these guys to the next level, but two, assisting Calvin Shepard with his role as a defensive coordinator because he was a former defensive coordinator, and I think he's going to help Calvin not like hold his hand, but any questions he might have, Casey Rogers will have the answer to. So I think in a lot of different ways, he's going to be someone that Calvin leans on, and I think he's going to be someone that all these defensive linemen lean on. So I'm going to go with Casey Rogers. I think he's going to
push back on that a little. I considered Casey Rogers. The thing that took me away from him, though, was the fact that I think Terrell Williams was like the best D-line coach in the NFL last year. So I'm not saying you're taking like a massive step back, but like we know what Terrell Williams was. Like, is Casey going to be better than Terrell is my question. That was why I didn't pick Casey Rogers.
So I guess my response to that would be when I think of Casey Rogers, I think of Tampa and I think of what they've had and what they've developed, which is absolute dogs. So like ranking wise, I mean, I don't know. Terrell was definitely one of the best. I think Casey Rogers is up there. Like I get your point, but I'm going off what he did in Tampa So
Fair.
I'm going to say that translates to Detroit, and you get a lot of guys taking another step here.
That's my question. That was my question with this. I genuinely am curious to see if people think Casey's going to be better than Terrell was. It was tough for Terrell. He was here for 1 year, and everyone on the D line got injured. So it's like he
didn't
really
get a chance.
Didn't get a chance. So if you put Terrell in there this year, would he have been better than he was last year? Probably. But I think it's such a good hire still, Casey Rogers. It's like if you're replacing Terrell with anyone, that's probably a best,
I mean,
option.
And to your point, like Aiden was playing at a defensive player of the year level, so I don't think he's going to take him to like 30 sacks or anything. But I think the young guys, like throw in Broderick. Maybe.
I don't know, dude. I thought Terrell was going to get Broderick right. And I fell back on that one pretty quick.
No, it's in all seriousness, probably not Broderick, but you get my point there. We all love the Casey Rogers hire. I think he makes a big impact, and I added in. I think Calvin leans on him a lot for kind of that mentorship. So that's where I'm at with it. What about you, Klotzy?
I mean, boys, I'm not going to overthink this whatsoever. It's John Morton. John Morton is arguably, I think, the coordinator who is going to make or break this Super Bowl run. And again, I'm not overly enthusiastic about John Morton. I just do not know what to expect because we've seen time and time again. You have a coordinator who goes to a head coach, quarterback play drops. Doesn't mean it's going to fall off of a cliff. But even just looking at the Eagles, like how good Jalen Hurts is, you saw in the Super Bowl. They brought in Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, the guy who, when Jalen Hurts was going to be an MVP, was his coach that year. They're like, okay, you're very friendly. You know this play calling. You know the scheme. You know the players around here. Most importantly, you know how our quarterback works. And Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles fell off of a cliff. And that's what my concern is with the Detroit Lions. I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but for better or for worse, John Morton is going to have the biggest impact on this team because while we hope that the Detroit Lions can be better on the defensive side, this team is an offensive football team. It's driven through the offense. It's driven through Jared Goff. I don't think there can be much slip in production or efficiency through Jared Goff. You saw his mobility in the pocket. You saw the confidence that he played with. And I think a large part of it, obviously not all of it, but a good part of that is having the confidence knowing that you have Ben Johnson calling these plays. I think with Morton and Jared Goff, chemistry still has to be built. I understand that Morton's been around Goff, but when it comes to play calling, when you're in Lambeau Field, and it's a one-score game, and you have to go down the field to put the lines up by possession. Does John Morton have the play calling to be able to do that? When you go on the road to Baltimore this year, when you go on the road to Kansas City, when you go on the road to the Washington Commanders this year, is John Morton cut for that? We're going to find out, and without a doubt, I think he's going to be the guy who has the impact.
So let me push back. Let me ask you this, okay? Because I like where your head's at. I do.
Yeah, me too.
I like where your head's at. But let me ask you this. Do you think the offense will regress? Doesn't have to be by a lot.
Yes, without a doubt.
So how do you think that John
that's
the biggest impact?
Biggest impact, like
impact
positive.
Doesn't mean it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be positive. It's an impact.
Do you believe in the saying defense wins championships?
Absolutely.
This whole thing really threw me off. I'm gonna be honest. My brain's in a pretzel with some extra salt.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the pick. I have a problem with the argument behind the pick. Because the question is the biggest impact. You went with Johnny Morton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you're skeptical.
Absolutely.
So he won't have an impact if they regress.
Who do you think had the biggest impact coaching wise on this team this year outside of Dan Campbell? It'd be AG or Ben Johnson.
He impacted when they were hurt. He put together a good defense.
Yeah, but you would pick AG or Ben Johnson because those are the two guys that were keeping the team afloat coaching wise. You're now losing Ben Johnson, who conducted a top 5 offense arguably in NFL history, and now you're replacing him. I think that's going to be an impact. Whether it's positive or negative, that is an impact. And why I do think defense wins championships, offense wins you games to get into the seeding and all of these things. This is an offensive-driven league still, but we're not just going to act like the Lions defense is going to become in one offseason better than the Detroit Lions offense. That's not happening. The strength of this team is going to be on the offense. The question is, can they play complementary football? When you add talent there, yes, the Lions have been playing complementary football great the last couple of seasons, even though they've been bad on the defensive side of the ball. Why? Because Ben Johnson is a very good play caller. He knows how to game plan these games. Does John Morton know how to do it on that level? I don't think so, and I think that's going to be a negative impact. I don't think he's going to suck, but he's going to be the guy who makes or breaks.
I don't know if
offense.
I could go through a whole offseason of hearing how negative Klotz is going to be on John Morton. I don't think I can handle it.
It's large skepticism. It's like we can't just be like, oh, I trust this hire just because.
Klotz, I actually don't mind you being skeptical about John Morton. I'm trying to figure out how the question biggest impact, then you kind of like John Morton if you think he's going to have a big impact. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so let me ask you this. Who had a bigger impact on the team? When Jim Bob Cooter was calling plays, or when they're like, hey, maybe Jim Bob Cooter shouldn't be calling plays anymore?
Oh, you mean
the play caller is going to have an impact on the offense, whether it's for good or for bad. Did Brian Johnson have an impact on the Philadelphia Eagles offense after the Super Bowl run?
So you're talking about in a negative way. Like,
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
well,
So then in that point, in that sense, if you think he's going to have the big out of all the coaches, you think this offense is going to take a major step back. If we're talking about Klotz, if we're talking about the biggest impact is the question, not a impact, because he might have an impact on making the offense a little worse. The biggest impact on the season, that means you think they're going to take a big step back. Because to me, there are coaches like David Shaw or some of these guys who are going to make a big impact on this team and help guys or progress in their careers. We're talking about the biggest impact on this football team. That means if you think your point is he's going to have a negative impact on this offense and you're skeptical on that, if we're talking about the biggest impact on this whole coaching staff, that's a big step back for this offense. Then a major step back.
You see where we're coming from with that.
Let me get this straight. Sorry,
this is just a fact, to be honest.
Me saying that, because I brought up a specific example. When you go into Lambeau Field, when you go into the Commanders, when you go against the Baltimore Ravens, when you go against the Kansas City Chiefs, where in that did I say the Lions offense is going to take a huge step back?
No, Klotz, we're not saying any of that. What we're saying is
the question, I think the Lions offense is going to take a huge step back, but I never once said that.
The question is the biggest impact, and your argument is he's going to have a negative. The reason you picked him isn't for positive, it's for negative. So when you look at the whole coaching staff, who's going to have the biggest impact? Number one impact, John Morton. In that case, you think that they're going to take a big step back. Instead, if you want to pick different guys, but like if he has a small impact, maybe they regress a little. Okay, then you probably shouldn't pick him as your biggest impact.
You get that though, Klotz?
Like the biggest impact.
I get what you're saying, but now let me ask. You said David Shaw. David Shaw is making those plays. Who's calling them?
I understand what you're saying, but the biggest impact means he takes a massive step back on this offense. If that's your argument,
biggest impact? We're acting like
so we shouldn't have. To your point, Klotz. To your point, Klotz. We shouldn't have picked. We shouldn't have picked.
Play caller. He is the first person to impact.
Okay, then to your point, Klotz.
Let's look up what the definition of the
word
let's
end this. To your point, we all should have just picked Dan Campbell because he controls everything. At the end of the day, we're thinking that, hey, who's going to make the biggest impact? The pass game coordinator is you can work with that.
Yeah,
so the defensive line coach work with it.
You think a positive passing game coordinator is more impactful than a positive offensive coordinator?
When you look at what Jared Goff, when you look at your offense with Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, J-Mo continuing to do what Ben Johnson did with Tanner Engstrand, 100%. Especially a guy in John Morton who hasn't had as much experience that you're sitting there. You're talking about a guy with 10 plus years of head coaching experience coming into that offense and helping mentor and help John Morton out in this offense, an offense that was top 5 in the NFL. Yes, David Shaw goes in there and he makes a massive impact because of they brought him in to be that mentor on offense essentially because he's been with John Morton last year. He's he coached at Stanford for 12 years. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, that's not that big of a question. The real conversation is you think that they're going to have a massive step back offensively.
I think the Lions offense will take a further step back than the Lions defense will take a step up when you talk about where they were fully healthy last year. And when you look at that, if you want to stick with the David Shaw, who's more impactful, whether negative or positive? Tanner Engstrand to David Shaw or Ben Johnson to John Morton? It's without a doubt Ben Johnson to John Morton. I don't know how this isn't like we're saying that the passing game coordinator is going the most impactful when the guy who's calling the plays is going to pick which one. It's like saying Tanner Engstrand.
You're arguing something completely different. I think. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what we're saying is.
No, go on, Booner. And then
I'm just saying, like, I'm not arguing like, hey, John Morton, or like, if you think John Morton, okay, that's fine. He does control the offense. To me, it's just more so, hey, the biggest impact. Okay. Like, but your argument is you're not picking him to have a positive impact. It's just you have him to make a negative impact. And if he's making the biggest impact on this team negatively, that's going to be a big step back. Like, that's just, there's nothing else around it, Klotz. You can argue all you want with it. That's just a fact. If you think he takes a negative step, this was the number one offense in the NFL the last 2 years. This was a top 5 offense in NFL history. If you're going to sit here and stand on the stand and say, hey, he's going to have the biggest impact on this team and it's going to be in a negative direction, this was the number one team in the end, or a number one offense in the NFL. You saying that insinuates like, hey, if he does have a negative impact, you're going from 1 to 10. You're not just going to go from 1 to 2 and be like, hey, that's no, like this was a great offense.
They're go from
that's
like
my point in here.
1 to like a 7, but that's sounds good. It's like, oh, he coaches a top 10 offense. And like, no, this team is so much better than a top 10 offense. This team is a top 3 offense. If they're not a top 3 offense, that is a big impact, because when you look at the difference from 1 to 4, when you don't have a mobile quarterback and you don't have a defensive led team, that's not going to be a Super Bowl winning formula, in my opinion.
Hey, well, I want to bring up a comment, then we'll move on here. Tyler says, I think Lucas is saying the dude is boomer bust. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yes. And then you guys asked me, do you think the offense regresses? So yes, I don't think this offense booms under John Morton,
because there's nowhere more to boom. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's going to be a drop off. That's why I'm saying the impact here, like Kelvin Shepard, when you look at how this defense was playing last year, okay, now he's getting all these guys back there and go heavy in this defensive edge room. Like, I would put Kelvin Shepard before any of the coaches too. I think when you look at coordinators, those are the most important. I think naturally they have the most impact.
That's why I said, like, it's not coordinator. You can make the argument for coordinators. I was trying to take it a different angle on it. Like, I think biggest impact, it could be interpreted in different ways. Like, I think on players, it'll be Casey Rogers because of the defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the easy answer would be like Kelvin Shepard because he's a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to go that route because it was like, obviously he's a DC. Like, he's going to call the plays. It'll be the most impactful. But I don't hate it. You can go John Morton. I actually have footage here of John Morton talking to Dan Miller. So I want to play some of that. He talked about his time with Ben Johnson, the familiarity with the offense, and he talked about kind of not tweaking the offense, but trying to keep it the same. And then I have a clip from Calvin. So let's get to some of these clips. I will start with this one. This is John Morton. Again, all credit Fox 2, Dan Miller. This is John Morton talking about his time with Ben Johnson and being a part of that, the early days of the offense. Let's take it.
Took place when Ben became the offensive coordinator. Dan was the head coach. You were part of that staff. That offense has obviously taken off. It's established, as winning 2 consecutive divisions now and being a big part of that. What do you remember about that process when you guys were putting this thing together?
Look at this dude.
It's about the players. And it starts with the quarterback, like I said. That's where we're starting right there. So it takes a little time when you first put an offense in. I've done this many times where you put a new offense in. And it's all predicated on who that quarterback is. And I think one of the, the smartest things that we did, when Ben, when he took over as a play caller, we brought Jared in. And then what do you really like, and then we go from that. Same thing we did back in the day when we got Drew Brees when I was at the Saints. This is how we're going to call the plays and everything, but Drew, when he was at the Chargers.
Let's play this one too, familiarity with the offense. I want to play a couple of these.
You just touched on something that jumped out at me when you were hired, and that is the familiarity.
Yeah.
You were here in 2022. You've worked with Dan twice.
Yep.
You've worked with Jared before.
Yeah.
You've taken some of the unknowns out of the equation when you walk in the building. How big is that?
Well, I think it's big because it all starts with the quarterback, right? So just kind of knowing him, and then when I was here, I was in the quarterback room. And so I have a feel what he likes, what he doesn't. And that's important as a play caller. And then we'll continue here when the players come back and stuff. So I'll get to know more about him and the plays and stuff that he really likes a lot and what they've been doing good here.
Hey, look at that little Johnny Morton. It's not about changing what's being cooked. It's just adding a little, he's throwing some seasoning on it.
Keep it going. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. We like the sound of that. I do like that.
That's your coach right there. All right, Klotz, you and Johnny Mo are gonna have a good relationship this year.
I hope so. I hope it is. I'm not praying on the downfall of John Morton here. That's not what I'm doing at all.
That's all. You're just skeptical.
Very
which I
much
think
so.
there's fans out there that are. I will say I have faith. Not that he's going to be Ben Johnson, but I have faith that he won't mess it up because of what he was saying. Take a listen to this clip too, because this was interesting.
Talking about kind of goes to what we'd heard about with that relationship between Ben and Jared and how important that was. And it was collaborative, and that's going to live on with you.
It's huge. No doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't got in the cut-ups yet and everything, but.
All right, I don't know. Okay.
There's for sure more.
Yeah,
there should be some more.
It's not loading, but you get
the end of it. The end of it was the only good part of it all.
He talked about the relationship between him and Jared and how he's going to work to make sure he's comfortable and make sure there's things in there that he likes, that from last year.
He basically said at the end, let's just call a spade, what Klotzy's been saying the opposite. He said, we're going to run the same offense, but we're going to add better things to this offense. We're going to make this offense the same, but better. We're going to find ways to where, and this is where, Klotzy throws on his floaties and his flip-flops, and he starts walking out to the deep end of the ocean to where John Morton, Klotzy said throughout the season, hey, I'm tired of these 3rd-and-1 passes. I'm tired of these 3rd-and-1 terrible play calls. Guess what John Morton's going to do? He's going to run the same exact offense that Ben Johnson ran, but his play calling potentially can be better in those situations. That's basically what John Morton said today was, listen, we're going to make this offense better. It's going to be the same, but we're adding to it. That's what I took out of that. It should have been there, but I don't know why it stopped.
Yeah.
It should pump you up, Klotzy. You should be absolutely pumped up. You should be fired up.
And I understand, but if you talk to any offensive coordinator, that's what they're going to say. I watched because I saw you send those. I just wanted for shits and giggles to hear what Brian Johnson said when he got hired for same exact shit. Same exact thing. The philosophy of what John Morton, I support. I support what John Morton's going to try to do.
Where was Brian Johnson the year before?
Like I said, I'm sorry.
Did Brian Johnson help build that offense?
He was the quarterback coach with Jalen Hurts for the 2 years.
But did he help? Was he the one?
Yes, he was the one who developed Jalen Hurts.
But the offense though. Who was the OC before that who ran the offense?
Booner. He was the quarterback.
John Morton in 2022 sat down in that room and made that offense.
So you don't think? Okay, I'm just going to avoid that point because that's just I think it's just trying to troll me at this point. I'm going to keep it moving. When you look at Brian Johnson, he said the exact same thing. There's a difference between saying it and going out there in crucial situations and being the correct play caller to win a game against a tough opponent. That's what I question. So, yeah, I love what he's saying, but it's not going to sway my opinion. I'm not going to be all in on John Morton until I'm given a reason to, and I think that's very fair.
All right, that's fair. Hey, do what you got to do. Wait until week 18 or week 17. Just wait until you see it.
The reason, I said to you guys before, for fans that are skeptical, my reasoning is, people would say, well, you're the Ben Johnson guy, you should be the most skeptical. I already have my expectations set. Expectations are everything. I don't expect this offense to be what it was with Ben.
It's not going to be number one in the NFL.
No, you don't need it, but you don't need it to. You know what you need? A good defense, which I will get into. Because that's more important than anything. This offense. Okay, the offense is number one in the NFL again. Cool. What's your defense? Because you ain't winning if it ain't one of the best. I'll tell you that right now. That's what's going to be important. It's not now. As long as John, what you're saying earlier, none of us want him to mess it up. No one's saying that. You don't want him to derail it. But as long as they're a very good offense, they'll be fine. They will be okay. Run the ball on 3rd and 1, they'll be all right. That's what I'm looking at with this, because you had a number one offense in the league and it got you blown out at home. So it doesn't really matter at this point. What matters is what Kelvin Shepherd has to say. And I'm going to play this clip. Then I'm going to get to something I've been excited to get to today. And I want to talk to you guys about what this defense needs to look like, because it's time we get into a real conversation about what I expect out of this defense, to be quite honest, and what you need out of this defense to win a Super Bowl, which is the ultimate goal. It's not getting to the playoffs. You don't want to be the Dallas Cowboys, where you even though Lions didn't win the Super Bowl in the 90s at all, but still you reminisce and you're like, well, we're a playoff team. You don't want to be that team, okay? You want to win a Super Bowl. So let's play this clip from Kelvin Shepherd talking about the defensive line and the importance of it.
This is
okay. Yeah, I'm going to reload this clip, but first I'll play the clip. Let me reload it, and then I'll try it. But basically, what he was saying, and I'll play it again. I got to reload it into the so we can play it. talked about the importance of a D-line. And that's what the conversation all offseason is going to be. Okay. We're going to talk about the defensive line. We're going to talk about how important it is. And for anyone wondering where these interviews are at, Brian Reed, I see in there, it's over at Fox 2. Let's see if this
there. How important is it that you get that group up front right on this defense?
Everything you do on defense starts with the front. Just look at the final guys in the championship game. And everybody knows it is not I'm telling somebody some secret.
That Philly thing caught your eye, didn't it?
Everything you do on defense starts with the front, and it does. It starts with the trenches. In both the run and pass game, everybody is so pass happy nowadays. But if you really watch these games, it's a lot of people going back to the roots of football, and that's toughness in the trenches, and you better have that. It starts there. I always say you have to earn the right to rush the passer. It doesn't matter if you could get off the ball and be this glorified DPR pass rushing type player if you don't earn the right to get to those pass downs. So just making sure we find that fine balance in guys that could play the run and pass, and just making sure they gel with who we want to be, because that supersedes everything. You can have the most talented guy, but if Brad, Dan, if they don't see them as a fit for who we believe we want to wear this uniform, then we'll pass on those guys. We've seen it happen now for 4 years I've been here. I'm like, whew, we sure?
Yeah.
And you look up a year from that decision being made where myself or, guys who don't do the deep dive studies like our front office, and you're like, oh, they were right. And Brad's going to be right more than he is wrong. So I always trust whatever players they give me, we're going to coach them.
Trust in Brad Holmes.
Not everybody.
Trust in Brad Holmes. You guys heard that?
Brad? Yeah.
Jeff is not a Brad Holmes fan.
No,
we knew that earlier. A couple weeks ago.
I'm a huge Brad Holmes fan. I just that whole saying is just getting like, God, this just gets sometimes a little. It's like
it's been thrown as like a shield. Like you can't
have a conversation anymore. It's just trusting Brad Holmes. It's just like,
hey, trust in him as he's made good picks.
He has. You should. He's
built the team, so you can still trust in him, right? Like,
yeah. You could. You both can. How about this? Two things can be.
Both can be true. He still needs to make different moves and change a little bit, right? But you could still trust in most of the things he does. I trust in Brad.
You can trust in him, but also you can also be skeptical of some things. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got to have a conversation with you guys.
Come on now.
And I found this graphic. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't know where I found it. I'd usually give credit.
The ether.
I found it on some random website. It might have been Reddit.
Did you fact check?
It was correct. It was it was a Reddit. To be honest, it was a Reddit thread, like an NFL Reddit thread, and it's legit. I went back and checked at least the last 10 years, which that's the data I'm going to use. I'm not going back to 2002 and prove to you guys why the Lions can mimic what this team did in 2001. Like I'm going to go back 10 years, and I have teams where they ranked offensively and defensively that won the Super Bowl.
All right, let's hear it.
So,
do you have like a graphic of it or something?
Yes, I do. So let me put this on screen for you guys. All right. So check this out. I know it's for people at home that are.
You have to zoom in, dude. I barely can see it.
Yeah,
am I blind?
I will. So I'm gonna go back. We're gonna start here. So the left right here, or the middle next to the right of the team names is offense. Just so everyone knows, I'm gonna zoom in. But offense is first, defense is second, and third is overall rank. All right. So I'm gonna go back to 2014 here. So remember, first is the offense, second is the defense, and third is overall rank of the team, both sides of the ball, whatever, the average. Okay, so 2014, we'll start there. Or I guess it doesn't matter. 2014, 15, whatever. The Patriots, fourth in offense, eighth in defense. Okay, sixth in total. You see the Broncos, 18th in offense, fourth in defense. Remember that defense.
Peyton's last ride.
Peyton's last ride, yes, 11th overall. Now you start to go down. What do you notice about these teams since? What's something that stands out?
That you don't have to be a top 5 defense to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
7, 8, 15, 16.
So, but here's the thing. Let's get into it now. Okay. So since the Patriots, you have the number 1 ranked, the number 4th ranked, 7th ranked, 7th ranked, 8th ranked, 15th, 16th, second. Now, this is where I'm at with this, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. And you can disagree. because in life there are exceptions. Some people don't believe there are. I believe there are exceptions in life. I do. And I would say the only two quarterbacks I would say as exceptions would be Mahomes and Brady. If you want to say this team, Jared's Brady, I'm not going to argue with you there, or he's Mahomes. But in my opinion, those are two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, coached by two of the best coaches to ever play the game. So I don't like using the Chiefs or the Patriots. What I will use is, unless you want to make an argument.
Yeah, I just don't think I think that's just an easy way out of looking at these graphs, because if you look at it, like Mahomes and Brady have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of the last 11. So it's like such a skewed argument to me, where it's like, yes, like if you look at the teams that weren't Brady, it's like Rams 15th.
Well, that's where I'm going. I'm going
with Eagles 4th, but like there's not enough of the sample size for me. Like the Giants and Ravens up there, 24th, 12th. Like if we do look at the full sample size.
Okay, so I want to get into the exceptions. That was the whole argument. I'm not going to argue with you over, who Chiefs could, the Lions could be the Patriots or the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was throwing that out there. That's my thought.
What I'm going to argue is if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to look at the exceptions, or excuse me, the other teams, not the exceptions, the Chiefs or the Patriots. You're looking at the Rams. You're looking at the Eagles. You're looking at the Seahawks. Right? Or if you want to go before, or the Ravens or the Giants. But more recently, it has been Mahomes and Brady. I understand that. But the most recent example, use the Rams. So the Rams are 8th on offense, 15th on defense. But here's the tricky part. Okay. And this is where I get more skeptic. 15th on defense, you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, you can win it with a 15th ranked defense. They had 50 sacks that year with Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey. Those are 3 potential, 2 Hall of Famers, 1 most likely Hall of Famer. So 3 Hall of Famers on that defense. That's where it gets like, okay, you can use the ranking, but you got to look at the context of the ranking. Like the 50 sacks on the year, 3 Hall of Famers. It's a little tricky. So if you want to, my point of this is, offensively, do we believe the Lions will be top 10? We do. I think we would all agree. They'll be top 10. So they'll have the offense. Defensively, you have to be a top 10 defense. That is where you have to aim for, in my opinion. Because even if you go back, are you going to be the number 1 ranked defense in the league? Probably not.
Jim Harbaugh's got that locked up.
Well, last year, actually, fun fact, the Eagles were 1st in yards, 2nd in points. So they had the best defense in the league and won. So, and by the way, this might even be true. I'm just saying the ranking. He says stat sheet's wrong. Rams are 100% the number 1 defense. I'm just going off the ranking. So I'm not arguing or disproving anything. I'm just saying the ranking. Context matters, of course, but 50 sacks for the Rams. That's a lot of sacks. The Lions this year at 37. So, they can get there with Aiden back and, you get other players in the building. Maybe they get Myles Garrett and you're already there, whatever. But the point of this is boys, defensively, Kelvin Shepard, as much as I love him, he's got to, if you want to win a Super Bowl this year, he's got to get this defense to jump into this top 10 and be an elite unit. They have to be. Yeah. I can't listen to any arguments of people saying, well, the offense is just that good. Not hearing it. That's not working with me. You needed this defense to be very good and productive and suffocate quarterbacks. That's the reality. So that's the point of bringing this up.
Listen, I'm not even going to argue the point that you need a top 10 defense. Like, I think that helps you out. Like, especially if you have a top 5 offense and you have a top 10 defense, like you give yourself the best chance to win a Super Bowl. Like, obviously looking at this, I don't like I'll take a step back, like going like, oh, well, Brady and Mahomes are the one-offs, but it's like that they've basically been winning the Super Bowl.
Well, that's the tricky part too.
But the last 10 years, when you like, I'm just interested to see, like, I think the goal should be, and again, before all these injuries happened, there was a top 10 defense. And they were well on their way to be a top 10 defense. And if there's no injuries this year, everyone, you make that argument, you probably have a chance to win the Super Bowl, right? Like, I think we all can agree with that, is if you didn't have any of these injuries, if Hutch doesn't go down, Carlton doesn't go down, Meek doesn't break his arm, Aleem doesn't go down, like, and that's where you go into this year and you go, the expectation is top 10 minimum, like in my mind. And that's like, looking at this, I think that's a positive going into next year, because Klotz, to your point, like when we talk John Morton on digressing offensively, like you can digress back to 4, 5, 6 because you have a defense coming in this year that's expected to be top 10. you see what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be an expectation this year, at least for me, especially if you bring Carlton back. Aleem's back from injury. Hutch is back from injury. Amik hopefully comes back. Terrion is another year in. Branch and Kirby another year. Jack Campbell another year. You have the whole NFL draft. You have free agency. Like, if this defense isn't top 10 next year, then they need to look themselves in the mirror. Kelvin Shepherd was a failure in that season. Then that's at the end of the day, like, if Kelvin doesn't have a top 10 defense with what he has, that's a failure of a season as a DC. And I think he knows that. And that's where I get confidence looking at this graph, Jeff. And if you want to make those points, I'll play this game with you. I'll say that should be the minimum for them. And the expectation next year, bottom line, is winning a Super Bowl, because you had a top 10 defense going into this last year. When you were going through the season, you were expected to be top 10. We had those conversations, did we not, last summer?
We did.
And it's the same thing, except all these guys are another year in, and you're going to add pieces. There should be no excuses for Kelvin Shepherd this year, and you should be sitting in there. If you win a Super, like, you should put yourself in a position to be top 10 in both and have an opportunity to go be a contender and win a Super Bowl.
You know what, Boone? Let me add to that, because I actually love what you just said, because I was actually going to say that I was going to let you guys kind of talk about the top 10 thing, and I was going to say, to be honest, boys, like, you want my actual feeling? I think 10 would be like the floor. Like, I think that's got to be like the absolute minimum. Yeah. Like,
minimum.
If you want my actual, like, look at some, okay. Like when the Eagles won in 2017, they did it with a backup, obviously, but they beat who? Tom Brady. The Eagles, they beat who? Patrick Mahomes this year. You want to beat these guys? Look at Eagles fourth that year. They were first and second this year. Do they have to be the best defense in the league? I'm not going to go that far, but you got to be be very good. I'm not saying like, oh, get a top 10 defense, you'll win. Not really. I mean, like, you got to have, I would say top like 6, 7, like, would be probably better, but that's the reality, boys. That's why I'm bringing it up. The point to it, a lot of people in the chat are saying, like, last year, you can't compare last year to this year. They had guys on iron. Like, that's my point exactly. And that should be like all of our mindsets is there was a point last year before the injuries, you were top 12. And then even when the injuries happened, you were a top 5 defense statistically. Now, whether you want to say, hey, when you actually go out there, you are, but like, you statistically, and that's what these stats are, correct, Jeff? Statistics. Yes, statistically. Yep.
So statistically, there was a point this year with all the injuries that you were sitting in the top 5 in points per game and yards per game. Or maybe not yards per game, but I think you were top 10 still in yards per game given up. And that was with the injuries. So you guys are proving my point in the chat. It's like, hey, you come back this year healthy. You had 13, 14 guys defensively on the IR. Those guys come back. You sign new guys and you draft. Boys, there is literally, again, Klotz, I know you're a Kelvin Shepherd guy, and I'm sure if we had Kelvin Shepherd on the show, and maybe we'll see him at the combine, and I'll even say it to him, like, hey, if you don't have a top 10 defense going into this year, and at the end of the season, you roll into the playoffs, and you're outside of the top 10 in yards per game and points per game, and again, the pass defense is worse than the NFL, that's a failure of a season defensively, especially if you drop and don't end up going to a Super Bowl. Like, your expectation as a year one DC is top 10.
Is that fair, Klotzy? Is that fair to expect that?
Yeah, no, that's what the expectation should be. And I know I'm skepticistic on John Morton, and I still am on Kelvin Shepherd, but I'm much more confident in Kelvin Shepherd just because we've seen Kelvin Shepherd in Detroit for 4 years. And boys, enlighten me, what was John Morton doing last year?
Yeah, passing game coordinator for the Broncos.
Year before?
I honestly don't know.
Okay, year before that?
We're talking about Kelvin Shepherd here. We're not talking John Morton.
But you guys
I don't get this point. You just keep coming back to John Morton. We're talking about Kelvin.
Okay, well, again, you
man
guys
hates this guy. This is unbelievable.
Go ahead, Boone. You guys had a good 5-6 minutes straight to talk. I let you talk. So now
don't do this.
Now it's my turn. So if you guys are gonna make crazy faces on why I have more confidence in Kelvin Shepherd, because he's been here. He's been directly under AG, the play caller. He's been directly developing these players. So Kelvin Shepherd, again, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and for sure be able to give you a top 10 defense, but I'm more confident because I've seen proof in the pudding. He hasn't been passed around like Kim K through the NFL like John Morton has, okay? So if we're going to make those two comparisons, that's where the confidence comes from. When you look at the intensity, the accountability that he holds, we all go back to the Hard Knocks episode of where he's looking Derek Barnes, who's a free agent, by the way, straight in the eyes and saying, I will start Malcolm Rodriguez over you because he's simply better. You look at Ezekiel Turner, Trevor Nowaski, Ben Neiman, all of these guys who have been completely rid off. Now, he has had some one-offs that haven't hit, like Jamal Adams. Like, he's not going to turn everybody around. But when a linebacker has stepped into the Detroit Lions locker room, they've gotten better than they should have been. So when you look at that, now I don't know if that's going to translate directly to the secondary or the defensive line, but it does give me confidence because he knows what the fuck's been going on when the Detroit Lions have been 3-13-1, and then when they've been 15-2. So I do think baseline should be top 10. They have the talent to be a top 5 defense, especially when you think about the pieces they could possibly bring in. Will they be? That's the question to ask, but it's going to be a tough schedule on the road. And even at home, they were undefeated on the road. It's going to be really hard to do that again. But with the talent that they have, if they land in the Super Bowl, this is how you should look at it. Regardless of the rankings, regardless of the stats, when the Detroit Lions are in the Super Bowl, are you scared about that defense going up against an opposing quarterback, or are you confident? That's the question. I think with the Detroit Lions over the last couple of years, no way in hell you're confident. Even if Hutch was healthy and they won beat the Commanders, I still think you'd have some questions with Carlton going down. When the Detroit Lions get an NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, are you confident in them? And that's when you can make or break it with Kelvin Shepard. I have confidence in him, but there's definitely some skepticism as well, just not as much with John Morton.
Yeah, to that point, like in a Super Bowl, I have to with Shepard. I think character-wise, he checks all the boxes.
For sure.
Like Kelvin, he checks all the boxes. But I just want to have the discussion today about expectations. Let's just get that out there.
That's where I was, Jeff. Klotz, love you so much. Don't know why you went on that tangent there about that, because I think my point is they're going to have a top 10 defense this year. And again, I think it should be a good thing that minimally, like, it's 10. Like, that's it. That's your floor is 10. And I think they do it. I think they have a chance to be a top 5 defense. Hey, you tried to turn it there. It was something.
No,
positive. I was positive for your guy.
Kelvin Shepard, you both go.
No, I was positive for your guy, and you tried to turn it back on John Morton. We weren't even. That was so long ago.
No. You want the honest truth? But the reason why we made that face is because you said skeptimistic.
Yeah, I had nothing.
I kind of like that word. It
was a great word. I don't even think it's a real word. No, that's literally what it was. I put it. Go look at our private chat. I literally put it. I said I'm putting this word in here for later. I think it's a fake word, to be honest. I think you added 2 words together. They should add that to the dictionary.
No, that
should get added to the dictionary.
It
threw me off because after that word, Klotz went on a 5-minute rant about us going back and forth.
I can confirm it is a word. It is a real word.
I like it. I never heard of it. That's a good one.
Okay, so I'm glad you cleared that up. Because I was like, why is Klotz going on a rant about John Morton and Kelvin? I just stood up for Kelvin Shepard.
No,
Klotz, I'm with you on Kelvin. Like, watching these interviews, skeptimistic. Yes, Klotzy.
Skeptimistic.
I'm pumped up for Kelvin Shepard. I can't wait.
I am too.
The problem is he has like all the chess pieces. He has everything in front of him to succeed. There's like, that's why Klotzy, it's not a negative thing to say this. He like has no reason to not be good. Like, he has everything in front of him. Maybe if they don't sign Carlton and there's those.
It's on Brad too. It's on
Brad
to get him.
But like, as of now, if Carlton comes back and they bring another edge and they do this, like, dude, everyone is healthy. Everyone is going to be healthy. Now, if injuries start happening again, okay, then we can have that conversation. But like, going into the year, man, like, he set up one of the best defensive coordinator positions in the NFL, in my opinion, going forward. Like, you're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah. If you're a first-year DC,
this is so good.
No, you're usually like you're coaching a terrible defense typically. I mean, and he's got a really good defense off the bat. So that's.
I just want to say I love Klotz, dude. That was probably one of the funniest moments. Him thinking that him saying that word, and then us making and then him thinking we were like, and then he just going on a rant about John Morton.
No, again. you were spitting. I was just called by skeptimistic. That's it. I was just like,
according to, hold on. Let me pull it up correctly.
I believe there was a
Wiktionary. It's a blend of skeptical and optimistic, and it's an adjective, meaning both skeptical and optimistic at once.
I don't think that's a real dictionary website.
It's like Urban Dictionary.
It does in my book. If I look it up, if it's a word and it pops up, yes,
it's a word. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. Hey, we should reach out to the who is it, dictionary.com and get this word added.
Webster or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, to try and make something happen. I like it. I mean, you were making sense. I mean, nothing you said was.
No,
we're all on the same page. I mean, we all agree this defense has to be very good. I wanted to put it out there in the ether so Lions fans, I could get the vibe of the room, see where people are at. You know, I'm actually most of the chat. I mean, our chat's smart, but a lot of them are just agreed. So like, maybe I expected more like pushback of like, oh, like, you know,
no,
they don't need to be that. They don't have like, no, everyone's on the same page.
If you don't agree, you're probably a slappy that doesn't want to. And you know, people call me a slappy. I've seen it tonight already. But like, you just don't want to ever admit that. Hey, this is an expectation. Like you're oblivious to expectations. Yeah, you had a top 5 statistic defense after Hutch went down, like 3 weeks after.
Think about it. Think of Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Like, assuming Patrick gets back, which very well couldn't happen. Maybe you do face like the Bills we talked about this actually like 2 weeks ago. So maybe it's not even the Chiefs. But hypothetically, if it's the Chiefs or if it's Josh Allen, okay, these great quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Mahomes, 2 of their most devastating losses, or each of their most devastating losses, came to teams that ruined their day, like rushing for, absolutely just pinned their ears back and got after Brady. That was the Giants with Michael Strahan. And then we just watched it a couple weeks ago, the Eagles with the Chiefs. So, and their defenses were very good. So at least, especially their pass rush. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. It's like, you want to take down one of these guys, got to be able to get after them, man. So that's how it works. It's literally the proof's in the pudding. Just it's the information's out there. Just go look it up. All right. I want to get to Klotzy's guy of the day here. Now,
I forgot about this, boys. I'm not going to lie after that rant. Not going to lie.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, me and Booner wanted to kind of poke you so you get fired up in the segment. You know what I mean?
That was a troll for sure. Purpose troll.
Yeah, I was trying to piss you off so you get fired up.
Skeptimistic troll.
That's what it was.
All right.
You've done 2 prospects. You've done Jared Ivey and you did Jordan Birch.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Ivey, Jordan Birch. Now you're doing it.
Both Georgia Tech transfers.
Both the Georgia Tech. Are they in the same part of the
same? Is this guy from Georgia Tech?
No. Same conference.
Wow.
ACC.
Okay. Loves the
ACC.
That's what he does.
ACC.
He loves it.
I would like to request next week. Can we get like an SEC or Big Ten guy?
Yeah. What's Robert Spillane? What college did he go to? That's
Western Michigan.
I think Robert Spillane cannot be. He is disqualified from.
Yeah, we talked about that, Boone.
He's disqualified.
Yeah. Damn.
That's fair. That's fair.
If you guys haven't watched Klotzy break down Robert Spillane, it's on our YouTube. It's one of the reels we posted today. Man. It's on our TikTok. It was amazing. Klotzy was spitting on that one. But all right, Klotzy, let's get to it.
Come on now.
Free agent. He's a big dude.
Big boy.
That big fella. Talk to me about this guy. Now, here's a guy. Mekhi Becton.
A guy. Boone, you asked if he played at Georgia Tech. He played in the ACC, but this boy was already picked. Number 10 overall pick by the New York Jets a couple years ago. And I'm just being honest with you, boys. He was a bust. Without a doubt, a bust. He was drafted as a project. He couldn't develop. He was getting hurt. Even when he was active, he had 35 starts. 30 starts at the Jets. Wasn't that good. Was their right tackle. Had some moments, had some flashes, but overall was a bust. They moved on from him. The Eagles took a flyer on him this year, boys. And you know what they did? They said, yeah, you're not that good. You're okay at tackle, but you're a monster at guard. We're moving you to guard. All 6'8", 310 pounds. Oh, my bad. 6'7", 364.
He's a big
My bad, Hepe. Fact check me quick. I'm thinking of Ivy. But 6'7", 364. Boys, this is a big guy. A lot of people might know Mekhi Becton and instantly think washed, bust. But if you watch what he did in Philadelphia this year, boys, he was a monster. He was a huge part in their run game. Saquon Barkley, when they ran behind Mekhi Becton, averaged 7.1 yards per carry. And I already know what people are going to say. Well, who is Becton next to? Jason Mayada and Lane Johnson. If he went to the Detroit Lions, he'd be right next to Penei Sewell. So I'm very confident with that. And Frank Ragnow. And it reeks of Brad Holmes. And the thing that I do love about this is the injuries. He was healthy all last year. He had 15 games, 15 starts in the playoffs. He had to come out during the Super Bowl, but it was for like a half, and the guard came up behind him and played phenomenal. So the Philadelphia Eagles already have a replacement plan for him. At this point, Mekhi Becton, he was a luxury for Philadelphia. Again, they took a flyer on. They took it on a prove-it deal, and he proved it. So I'm all in for it. I don't think there's going to be much risk. There is some risk with the injury, but as far as keeping him at guard, I love it, because this is going to be the question that people bring up. Well, what about Kevin Zeitler? Do you still want to bring back Kevin Zeitler? I'm not opposed to bringing back Kevin Zeitler because, like we said, Kevin Zeitler is 35, 36 years old. He's going to be in Detroit for max 1 more year, and Mekhi Becton is 25 years old. So if you got this guy on a 3-year deal, Spotrac has him at a projected then between anywhere $9 to $12 million. So let's call it 10. You get him for 3 years, $30 million at 25 years old. You now have your guards of the future with Christian Mahogany and Mekhi Becton, because day one, he's going to be better than Graham Glasgow. Your guys' holy grail PFF when it comes to grading players. He was a 20th ranked guard in front of guys like Zach Martin. So he was very good this year. You put him with Hank Fraley, this offensive line, I still think he's going to be very good. And you're stealing him from the Philadelphia fucking Eagles. Go back and watch the Rams-Eagles NFC divisional game. When you watch Saquon Barkley take the ball 70 yards to the house, I want you to watch Mekhi Becton on that play. And now envision him right next to Penei Sewell, right next to Frank Ragnow and Jahmyr Gibbs behind him. The same thing's going to be happening. He embarrassed the Rams defensive line, which is actually pretty damn good. And you know what this guy is? He was a former tackle that got moved to guard and is 6'8", Jeff. No more Manu discussion. No more. I don't need to hear about it, because you're going to have Graham, who can go from center to guard, and now you're going to have Christian Mahogany or Mekhi Becton, whoever you want to compete in camp and gets a starting spot is going to be there at depth for guard. And if there's an injury to, let's say, knock on wood, hopefully not, Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker, you have a guy who's played 30 starts at the right tackle position and was a top 10 pick, so he knows what it's all about. Now, in all seriousness, this doesn't mean they're going to cut Giovanni Banu, but on a serious note, this is a guy that can help develop Giovanni Manu. I put this on here just to mess with fucking Jeff because of the combo yesterday. But this is a guy, again, who can help develop Giovanni Manu, a guy who I have already written off. I do not think Giovanni Manu will be playing meaningful snaps ever for the Detroit Lions. But if there's a guy to be like, hey, I can show you a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to being a big boy at the guard spot, it's Mekhi Becton. So Mekhi Becton on a 3-year, $30 to $35 million deal, either to start year one, be a rotational piece as depth, and then after Zeitler leaves, if you re-sign him, replace him, I'm all for it. Because Trey Smith, who a lot of people want in Detroit, Kansas City to guard, you want to talk about a contract? Okay, let's talk about 10.5 a year compared to 18 a year. And Kevin Zeitler, Graham Glasgow's making 6.5 a year. So when it comes to, you're going to be willing to pay Mekhi Becton, who might not even start, 10 a year. Graham Glasgow is 10 times worse, literally 10 times worse if you go look at the grading. And then you bringing him in, upgrading him for $4.5 million more. This is one of the signings when I say I don't think it's worth bringing back Ifeatu Melifonwu because, defensive side of the ball. But that's a contract where, let's say, $7 million. I'm more comfortable signing Mekhi Becton with that $7 million added than re-signing iffy injury concerns for a guy that's going to be depth on the secondary rather than a start on your offensive line. So I think it would be very smart for Brad, the Lions, go poach him from the Eagles and bring him home.
Wow. It's the 6'7" guard, huh, Klotz? I actually, you know what I mean? I don't hate this. I really don't. I'm just making sure, Klotzy. So 6'7", 360, you could technically play guard.
He is a guard. Yeah, technically, yes. Here's the thing, Jeff. I'm much more seeing somebody at guard that's that big, that's made 30 career starts before, played at a Power 5 school, was a first-round pick, rather than a guy that's out of British Columbia that's never played Power 5 football in his life.
Watch your mouth. British Columbia, they breed players. Okay. All right.
Hey,
BC,
no draft prospect this week, boys. We got a free agent prospect, but I think somebody that can help down the line for sure.
Have you heard of Matthew Betts? Came out of there.
Matthew Betts. Yeah, where is he?
All right. So,
jeez.
Mekhi Becton. All right. Well, initial thoughts on this? You think? I mean, I'll say this: the Lions could probably offer him more than what the Eagles could offer him, because the Eagles are they're getting a little cap strapped right now.
Yeah, they're kind of in a tough spot. Lions. The only reason the Lions aren't though right now is because they really haven't gone through the extensions like the Eagles have. You know what I mean? Like they're more so, but like the Lions are going to have to do that in the this off season. They have a couple to get done. Next off season they have a couple to get done, and then they kind of become what is it called? Strapped for cash, as you just said, Jeff, in the next 2 years. So I guess Klotz, I mean, I'm all in on Mekhi Becton. I think he's a great guard. Like, think about this. Him right next to Penei Sewell, and on the other side you have, obviously, a lot of people aren't big on Taylor Decker right now, but Taylor Decker and Christian Mahogany. I feel like that's a really good offensive line. Like that, you're pretty confident in that. So yeah, I at the end of the day, like my biggest question mark with the Klotzy that instantly pops up. There's two things with it. One, and then listen, I think again, I want to make this very well clear. I'm all in on this, Klotzy. But the two things, if I was like to be a guy on the opposite side,
the risk.
Yes, one is the money situation. Like, how much is he really acting like or asking for? Because you did say like this was a prove it year for him. He went out and won a Super Bowl, and he was very good this year. So like he could go out there and ask for some money. And it just depends on if you want to get tied up in that. Like that's all it comes down to, especially when it comes to offensively. You're paying Jared, Penei, Amon-Ra now. Sam Laporta is going to get paid soon. Jameer is going to get a massive deal soon. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on how much money you want to throw into your guards positions. Or if Dan or Brad, like you saw last year, he didn't go out and sign a big time guy. He just went and got a 1 year Kevin Zeitler. Like what if he goes out and gets another 1 year vet again? So I think that's the one thing. And then the second one, you do have to convince him, and as much as you could say, yeah, he would do it. I mean, the man just won a Super Bowl with Philly. Like,
yeah, very
whether
fair.
he was there 1 year or not, it's tough. Maybe you do see it sometimes in the NFL, but going from like, hey, that man just made a career in one season in Philly. Like he is in there forever with the Super Bowl. So that might be a situation where he's like, I don't want to leave Lane Johnson. I don't want to leave these guys. I want to stay here. So I guess it just depends on that. I think those are two hurdles. But if you can get over those two hurdles and you can convince him to come here and you can figure out the pricing without really crippling your offensive financially, I think that's a great addition. I don't think it's a bad one at all.
Yeah, and kind of to answer that, again, I'm with you on the money. Like, I wouldn't spend anything more over, like, 12, but at least, like, Spotrac and sites like that, I've been reading everywhere from 9 to 12 on, like, a 3 to 4 year deal. And then on the flip side of things, and again, like, I'm not concreting it, because I was looking at it, too. I was like, well, why would Philly want to let him go, especially if he could come back on a cheaper deal? They had a rookie guard who stepped up when he left in the Super Bowl, and I think he missed one game. They just wanted to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs, and he stepped up and played really fucking good. It was like they're mahogany. So everybody was like, if you can find a way to keep Mekhi around, do it, but they have a backup plan already. So it's like a luxury for him. It'd be like them keeping Zadarius almost, but for their offensive line.
Yeah, and the thing I will say that makes me intrigued with it is he played with a very good, the best offensive line in football. He's going to a pretty good one. So it's not like he's playing for like in my opinion, this type of player, there's risk. You sign him to an offensive line that's not very good, and you expect him to be very good for you. It could go it could go wrong.
Rebuild the right side of the offensive line in Tennessee.
Honestly, if I'm the Tennessee Titans, though, you're probably keep being like, I would rather pay a Mekhi Becton than an older Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like they might throw him a bag and say, hey, like if that's the case, that they really want a new right guard over there, Kevin Zeitler, he's not going to go. Like he's old. I don't know how old Mekhi Becton is. I don't know what the age. Yeah, you would be like after that year, you'd be like, come here, please. Like let's like be our next right guard.
It's like I wonder if a team will be like, okay, he played well with that offensive line, or with 1 year, or are we going to pay him long term?
But you see it all the time. You see all the time guys play on
will
those.
Happen. I just whether or not it'll blow up in their face, like
Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, like Jonah Jackson. I mean, he's a little shaky in LA. So
yeah.
With Detroit though, I think it'd be okay. Like he'd be playing next to Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow. Like he'll be fine. And he gets Hank Fraley, so he can develop even more. So I don't and you get the ability if you absolutely need to, under like desperate circumstances. He's played left tackle before, so yeah, there's a little of that versatility. So I kind of like this, Klotz.
He said Philly said better have speed, and he is. That was the whole reason why he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, because he was as big as he is, but he was fucking athletic. And even when he was with the Jets, like his whole thing was like, can he keep his weight down? But he could still move, so that's why they moved him to guard. And you watch him pulling. There is not a bigger man in the NFL on the offensive line as far as starting. We're not going to include like the backups, the Giovanni Manus, because Giovanni Manu might be a little bit bigger. But when you watch Mekhi Becton move, there's no way he should be able to move like that. Like watching him pull, Like Saquon, again, just watch Saquon in the open field and look who was in front of him. It was Mekhi Becton. So he can move.
I will say Giovanni Manu, his measurables, he's 6'7", 355.
All right.
So,
all right.
But I say
Right
6'8" because it sounds way better. Give him
Who's 6'8"?
Round up.
Yeah, I just round up.
Who's 6'8"?
It says Giovanni is listed at 6'7", 355.
Can you do me a favor? Can you check Dan Skipper, please?
He said that dude's a center in the NBA. I mean, Dan Skip. He might be the biggest. Is he the biggest offensive lineman in the NFL? It has to be.
He has to be.
What
right?
is he? How tall is he?
6'9", 6'10".
The Jameis video, Jameis Winston going up to him at the Super Bowl, and he had no clue. He's like, "You've got to be a left tackle for someone's team." He had no clue who he was.
Yeah, like
Who was
6'9".
You didn't see that video? You were here, weren't you?
For what was it?
Yeah,
Jameis Winston walked up to Dan Skipper at the Super Bowl.
Jamison Williams. I don't know. I don't know why. Like, how does J-Mo not know who he is? My bad, Bill.
Yeah, he's like, you should play tackle.
Klotz, can you do me a favor? I want you to pronounce the name for me.
All right.
Iffy's name. I'm not going to say the last name.
Ifatu Melifuanu.
No, he does the whole thing. It's impressive.
Earlier, the way you said it had me dying, dude.
It probably came out a little goofy. Hey, we move.
I might go back and just clip it so I can rewatch it.
Is still like, I'll say iffy. You fought to. You say the whole thing. No, you did.
It just threw me off, dude. It was probably one of the funniest moments, dude.
Hey,
it probably did make it more difficult on myself there.
No, you want this is coming for the guy.
Strategic device.
Hey, when you're talking Mekhi Becton, hey.
Boone, you have any skepticism on Mekhi Becton?
No, I already gave you my 2 points with the skepticism.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much pushback on it.
I think there's just the money and him leaving.
I think the only risk is he more of like a 1-year wonder given the offensive line he played with.
Yeah,
that'd be the only thing,
Hey, great observation, Jeff.
Yeah. And it's like the Chase Young thing. Like Chase Young played last year every game. Mekhi played in every game, but check his before that. He's been injured. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what I mean? That's like the other thing. Yeah, I guess you'd look at. At least Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler is always playing, literally always available. So that's
the big thing with Kevin is like his whole career, he's constantly been available. I mean, that's the most impressive part.
So that would probably be the only two pushbacks on that. But I love how you put in there reeks of Brad Holmes. That was one of your bullet points.
And to your point, though, Klotzy, too, like this is your point with like the Kelvin Shepherd and John Morton thing. And again, I don't want to go back to that. We don't need to argue that again. But just the point of like compared to John, who wasn't here the last few years, but to Kelvin, who's been here, it's like that with like Mekhi Becton and Kevin Zeitler. Like Kevin Zeitler's probably cheaper, and he was just with this offense. And it's like it's not like he was bad here. Like he was very good. He was one of the best guards in the league with this Lions offense. So it's like, I guess it just depends. Like the only way I see them pursuing a Mekhi Becton is if Kevin personally says,
I agree with you there.
I don't think it's the Lions being like, we're taking Mekhi over Kevin Zeitler. I think it would have to be Kevin Zeitler departing on his own, and then you have to go get a replacement.
I agree.
If I were to ask you guys, in terms of this division, we're going to have this conversation again. Okay, because the draft and free agency, we're gonna have another conversation. But early mid-February, right now, who's the biggest threat in the NFC North? Like, screw the NFC. Let's talk about the division.
Okay, can we just say this is as of right now? Can we say this is obvious?
Depends on who your answer is.
I think without a quarterback, I think the Bears is we move them to the side. Like, I think there is like a little bit like there's a question mark on that. I'm just talking to Jeff. Actually, I don't want to talk to you right now. I just want to talk to Klotz, me and Klotz. Klotz, can we just go 2-screen here?
Yeah, here we go. Perfect.
Me and you can agree Bears, right? Out. Like they're not the
like
biggest
they're
threat.
not. Oh yeah.
Not the biggest threat, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now my second thought is this. The Vikings, you don't know who their quarterback is. And then it might be JJ. And if it's JJ, to your point, that me and you have talked about, there is going to be a little regression. They're not going to go win 14 games again with him. I think if the Packers add some pieces, I would have to say that's where I think we all agree. Like, I feel like across the board, it should just be right. As of now, Green Bay.
Yeah,
All right, Jeff,
I
go
was
back.
fighting with it because you know I like the Kevin O'Connell over Matt LaFleur when it comes to head coaches.
Yeah.
But when you watch the games where the Lions match up with the Vikings, hey Jeff, glad you came back.
Welcome back. Sorry, just the Bears talk.
When you watch those matchups, because those are the games that honestly like make or break it, because I think all three of these teams, and Boone, me and you agree that the Vikings are going to be good again, but they're not going to be 14-3. Like they'll probably be anywhere from a 10 to 12 win team, even if they have JJ. I think you just got to play point guard. But who's going to beat the Lions? It's going to be more likely the Packers. When you look at Matt LaFleur, he's kind of fought Dan Campbell a little bit harder. There's definitely like closer games. And I just think that the Packers, especially in the run game, are more bought in. Like Josh Jacobs and that offensive line definitely scare me a little bit more than the Vikings and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a good running back. But when you look at just how they run the ball, I think the Packers offense is more constructed. And the Vikings defensively, like they were good last year, but now they're possibly losing Byron Murphy. Harrison Smith is going to be gone. They're going to be losing a couple of pieces. Will they bring pieces in? Absolutely. Brian Flores, meh. I'm not huge on the Packers defensive coordinator, but if I had to lead one, it'd be just Packers, just because of what we've seen recently.
Yeah. The only question mark with them, I think, would be like this whole receiver situation. Like Jordan Love obviously hasn't been what we thought what he was going to be, but I still think he goes out there and plays. If you give him some more receivers, that whole thing with Josh Jacobs and the receiver, that was a crazy situation at the Super Bowl. I don't even know if we talked about that. I don't think it's crazy what he was saying. I think it was right what he was saying, but just saying that in the public with you, like just like your team, like there's a chance that you don't get another receiver.
First year on the team too.
Yeah, like you're going next year with those guys again, and it's like you have to know. Like publicly, you can't say that unless you know for sure you're ready to call them out and get a new receiver. Like that was a wild comment.
Why is it the Bears, Jeff?
I know. I'm just listening.
No, go ahead.
Listen, I think the Packers are going to be a good team. I do. I think they'll win 10 games, 11 games, something in that realm. They'll be good. But here's the question I have, the biggest question I have with the Packers. And this is what we saw last year. Is Jordan Love good? Can we ask that question and be serious about it? Like, he regressed last year. Right or wrong?
Correct. Absolutely. I think
so.
Go ahead. I will talk.
I think the big thing for the Packers is what version are you getting of Jordan Love? And I think what Booner was saying is correct. It's the receiving core. The thing I look at with the Bears, and that this is the thing that's intriguing about the Bears. All right, about like, hey, kind of looking at the Bears. It's like when you look at the Bears, Caleb Williams going into his second year. Okay, wasn't the best rookie quarterback. Obviously, Jaden Daniels took that by a land. He was very good, offensive rookie of the year. But when I look at the Bears and I'm looking at the defense, would you say the defense is better than the Packers? That defense is very good, and they're going to be good. It's just what it is. Now the offense, their biggest question is the offensive line, but they're probably going to put a bunch of resources into it. But they have the weapons, like the weapons we talk about with the Packers. They already have it. They have Rome Odunze. They have DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. They'll probably draft a running back at some point. And if they sign Trey Smith, for example, and they draft a tackle, like, would anyone be shocked if the Bears go out there and win a game difference from the Packers, or could catch I think the Bears are going to shock people this year. I do. And the Bears and the Packers, those two games they played against the Packers were decided by 3 points in total. 2 points when the Bears beat them, and 1 point when the Packers beat them. So, and that was with one had no coach, and the other was Matt Eberflus. So, like, I'm going to throw the Bears in that equation. I think they're going to be sneaky this year, and I think they're going to be good. And again, you're talking about a coach who was just with the Lions, so he knows everything. So I'm going now. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to give the edge more of a threat with higher upside. I'm going to go the Bears because I don't think the Packers, in terms of upside,
over the Vikings as well.
Yeah, I mean, we agree.
So you think the Bears essentially the best chance to dethrone the Bears as of now? You're saying the Bears would finish second in the NFC North.
Wouldn't be shocked at all. Yeah, I'd probably
no. I don't want to be shocked. I want a yes or a no. Like,
yes,
you have to stand on it.
Yes.
Wow, it's a big statement.
Wow.
Yeah, because
my thing is, Jeff, when I hear that, it's just the same conversation we've been having about the Bears for the last 3 to 4 years. And I understand that Ben Johnson's there, Caleb Williams is there, But at the end of the day, it's the Chicago Bears. And I don't think the Bears could put together like a 10-win season, but I do not think that, and that's like max. Like, I don't see them getting over that. Like, that's like the peak. And maybe next year, if everything goes well, but they still have to take their first step. They have not taken their first step in an organization for the past 9 years. I don't know. Like, even when not even probably longer than that, like even when they had Nagy, you saw a step and then you saw Nagy out the fucking door. So I don't think this team, this organization has the competence to be able to go and win a division. Like we've seen it many years, even in Detroit, where they've had very talented teams. They had a good coach in Jim Caldwell. But they went in 11-5. They went in the wild card round. They got bounced. Like that's where I could see the Bears' ceiling be this year, because it's just at the end of the day, it's the Chicago Bears. It's the Cleveland Browns. It's the New York Jets. It's the Miami Dolphins. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. There's those teams that are in those categories where it's like they need massive rehaul, and I don't think that they've had that this year. And it's going from top down. They've been able to address the coaches. When you talk about what they need to do, they need to do what the Lions did and sell the fucking team. That's the massive rehaul they need. I don't see the Bears being anything as a threat until they sell that fucking team. Sorry.
So this is the thing. No, and I'm not going to go as far as Klotz, because that was I am with Klotz though. I am with Klotz though. This is the thing, and I said it to you the other day, Jeff, on the show. Like for the last 3 years, it's the Bears are up. The Bears are up. They watch out for these Bears. Justin Fields, MVP. Like it's just been a continuous thing year after year after year. The thing with me though this year, it's like, do I think Ben Johnson's going to be good there? Like I think there's a good chance. But again, Jeff, it's year one of a whole new regime. It's not just Ben in there. It's a whole new OC, a whole new DC. Like it's going to take a little bit of time, in my opinion, for them to get everything down. Like all of these players are going to be in a whole new scheme, a whole new offense, a whole new defense. And they might be successful at some point. But I just think like if we're sitting here being like second in the NFC North after the NFC North just had 15-win team, 14-win team, a 12-win team, and then the Bears, like, no, I think the North is going to still be good next year, and they're going to be sitting there with teams like the Lions at potentially 12, 13 wins, the Vikings again up there, the Packers going to have a chance at 12, 13 again. Like to me, it's
with who?
If the Bears go out there, I would say maximum, if Ben does everything right and they find a great year one for them, would be like 9 or 10 wins. I would say like 10. And I don't think that's enough to be even second in the NFC North. So, no, like biggest threat, no, I don't see them getting there. Like, do they take a step forward? I think Ben's going to be good for them, yes. But I can be a little more realistic on the realistic side, especially in the NFL, and say, hey, 10 wins maximum. Okay, that's fair. But we're talking about in the toughest division in the NFL.
So here's the thing, and I'm not going to really respond to the Bears talk over the last couple of years because it has nothing to do with the current regime. Like that, we were Lions fans. Like if people were like, "Oh, the Lions are never going to be good," we're sitting here arguing Dan Campbell. We're sitting here arguing. Like I've been through it. I know how it is. I'm not going to address that. But what I will address is what they have. And I'll ask you guys: are the Bears in a rebuild?
Yes.
No, they're not. I promise you they're not.
They just took a rookie quarterback 2 years ago, and they just hired a head coach.
What are they rebuilding exactly? What are they rebuilding exactly?
Their offensive line,
their organization, their team. What? No.
No.
Hold on. Were the Washington Commanders rebuilding last year when they were number 2 overall on the clock? Yes. Are they winning? Are they rebuilding this year? No, because they're just in the NFC Championship. They're going to go get proven players because they've proven to do it. The Bears, what did they prove? Nothing. They got worse last year. They got worse. They're taking the first step in a rebuild. Another rebuild.
No, they're not. And I'll explain why. Their team is not a rebuild. I'll explain why. So you're saying, and I want to make this very clear, they're the Titans. Yes or no?
They're not as bad as the Titans, but they're in a similar spot. They have their quarterback. They're a year ahead of the Titans, but they're still in a rebuild.
They are. When I think of a rebuild, I think of literally nothing in your building. The Bears, is the defense good? You said yes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't have to rebuild that. Do they have weapons? I would assume you'd say yes. Don't have to rebuild that. You have the number 1 overall pick a quarter. Oh, yeah, you do. Second year. Not saying you have to rebuild that. Offensive line, I'll give you that. They need another guard. They need a center.
So the Bears are already built. As a 5-win
team. They are ready to win.
They're ready to win. What were they last year?
Now, ready to win what is the question? Do I think they'll win the Super Bowl? No. But when you say rebuild, do you guys know a rebuild means let's go out and win 5-6 games and prove we're legit? They're not going to win 5 games.
A rebuild isn't 1 year. That's year one of the last year was year one of the rebuild. They got their quarterback. They had the number 1 overall pick reset. Now they got a new coach. That's year 2 of the rebuild. Jacksonville Jaguars. They are in a rebuild. They have Trevor Lawrence.
They have nothing.
They have Trevor Lawrence. They have Josh Allen. They have Brian Thomas. They have tools over there. Everybody's talking about, you better watch out on the Jags winning the AFC South next year. What? They're in a rebuild.
Hold on.
We're talking about Liam Cohen taking Trevor Lawrence to be a great quarterback and being everything he's supposed to be. That is what we're talking about with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Both of those teams are in a rebuild. They might not be at square one, but the Lions in year 2, year 3, they were still, when they were 2 and whatever.
Because they needed talent. The Bears have talent. They need
coaching and winning.
And they got the best coach on the market.
But does that mean that he's the guy to rebuild the Chicago Bears that haven't been done since Mike Ditka?
But here's the reality. I have a roster that's ready to win. Not win now. Win games. Like they're not going to, like the Lions, for example. They won 3 games the next year. They were 1-6, went 9-8, whatever. Like the Lions, literally bare bone. Like Brad had to build that thing. Bears got pieces. Like that's not a rebuild. You know,
if you have pieces with no identity, you have nothing. The Philadelphia Eagles, when they brought in Nnamdi Asomugha, Michael Vick, all of these guys, they were supposed to be great. You know what they were still in? A rebuild. Because you need coaching and identity. If you have all this talent and it can't get on course, then that's when it finally clicks in Chicago. That's when the rebuild is over. Until it clicks, they are still rebuilding because they have won nothing. They won 5 games last year. They were traded up to the number 1 overall pick, gave up assets. And they didn't even trade up. They traded for it. Like they gave up assets to get the number 1 pick. They have been building and building, and it hasn't worked. They are still rebuilding. It might not be, to your point, it might not be the Tennessee Titans or the New York Giants, but they're going to try to find their Caleb Williams, which you can't do in this draft. So next year, they'll be in a very similar spot to the Chicago Bears because you know what's going to happen in New York? They're going to get rid of Dayball. They're going to bring in the best head coach. They're going to be able to, but they're still going to be in a rebuild.
I know, and I think what they have going for them is the 4th place schedule. They'll have an easy schedule this year.
Yeah.
So with that team, with the amount of games they won, because they were 1-10 over the last 11 games, whatever it was, and that was with they had like 4 coaches left on the roster or on the a part of the staff, and they just lost every game. But now you get a whole new coaching staff. The coaching staff looks really good. Like I think they're going to be a problem in the NFC North this year. I do. And I don't think the Packers are easy. Like you can't, in my opinion, I don't think the Packers are like book them at 12, 13 wins. They won 10 games this year. Like in Jordan Love, and I think they'll be right around there next year. I honestly do. I don't know what to make of Jordan Love. He had a great year. He looked awful last year. So I don't know. We're based off hope.
So Jeff, I guess I know the answer to this. Do you actually think, like, if you would put your money down for next year, that you would bet on the Bears to win more games than the Packers next year?
Yes.
Sam Darnold re-signs with the Vikings, would you put money that the Bears would win more games than the Vikings next year?
Well, he's not going to re-sign with the Vikings.
No, I'm just say he does, because there is a chance that still happens. I'm just asking. I'm doing a experiment here. I just want to know.
I'll go. You know what? I'll go yes, because Sam Darnold at the end of the year was not the Sam Darnold all year. So I'll go yes.
Can we do a pizza bet? I would love to do a pizza bet with you. I'm not in this argument. I just would think I would like to the Bears to just be 3rd or 4th in the division. I would bet that with you.
Here's the premise of my argument, though. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be back, so I'm going off a rookie.
Okay,
now,
no matter what happens.
I'm not making that bet with you because that's not my argument.
But you just said still you think the Bears would win more with Sam Darnold.
Darnold's gone. So
okay, that's fine. Then let's make the bet.
With Jordan Love, who I don't know if he's good or not.
I would love to make that bet. Can we make the bet then?
So no Sam Darnold. Bears are the 2nd in the NFC.
But you even said yes with Sam Darnold. So that's where I'm like, either way, let's just make the bet.
That it's like the Sam Darnold.
But you were confident. You said yes. If you're going to say yes,
but it's my argument. I'm making the argument that
I know that. That's
Sam
what I'm
Darnold
saying.
will be gone. So I'm not betting something different to you know what I'm saying? That doesn't.
I know, but the
That's
question
what I'm
is
making the argument for.
if Sam Darnold is on the team, you still think the Bears win more games.
But that's not the argument. Sam
I
Darnold
just would like to make that bet. I disagree. I would like to make the bet.
I'll make a bet with you if Sam Darnold's gone. Yes. Because I think J.J. McCarthy's probably next year starting will probably win 7-8 games, in my opinion. So, like, I think they'll be last, personally. I do. I think J.J.
I think no matter what with Sam Darnold, I would like to make this pizza bet with you. I think
well, of course you would, because you like your odds better. But my argument is without Darnold. That's the argument.
Yeah, but you also said with Darnold that they do win more games than the Vikings as well.
Well, you asked me a question that I'm not doing this. This is getting petty. But I will say, what I will say is my argument is Sam Darnold. It will not be in the division. I don't think JJ will have this massive year one. And I think Jordan Love regressed last year, and there's still question marks. So I think besides the Lions, the NFC to me is NFC North is like not just book the Packers second. I don't think so. And they still have a whole free agency period. I'm getting ahead of this thing. I understand that. Like, I think they're going to have a big free agency. I think they're going to have a big draft. I think they'll get better on the offensive line. So, like, part of it is projection. But, yes, I do.
Hey, good combo.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, not much to say
Just
after that. Interesting. At some point, I'm going to make this bet with you. It just is going to be a matter of time. I just got to figure out who's the quarterback.
Just make my argument. Just literally bet my argument.
I don't think you understand though. Like, it's not that I'm changing it. Is your argument's your argument with Klotz. I wanted to ask you if you thought that with Sam Darnold, if they would still win more games, and you said yes, the Bears would. That was what my whole premise was. I don't care about your argument with Klotz. That was just I was interested in that.
That's
and you said yes. No, it's not. But you said yes with the Bears.
Okay, you're getting petty.
I can tell.
Yeah, let's chill out a little bit. You're getting petty. Like, let's have my argument is no Sam Darnold. He's gone. So the Vikings are gonna have to take a step back to take a step forward. Does that make sense?
That's fair. So if Sam Darnold's back, then you think that they'll be second over the Bears. That's fair. That's fair. I understand what you're saying now.
Talk about it. Can we just have a conversation? That is all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Stop trolling. Hey, let's have an actual.
Darnold's going to be a Ram, so it'll be all right.
I think
he's going to be a
Raider.
Yeah.
Ram. He'll be residing on the West Coast.
I don't think JJ. I see silent in the chat. Vikings will win more games. I don't care who the quarterback is. JJ, you can go with that.
I think JJ will be good, but Kevin O'Connell has turned water into wine when it comes to quarterback. So I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to go out there and fall flat on his face, but he's still going to be a rookie quarterback in the NFC North. Plain and simple.
I'm interested. This is going to be interesting. The NFC North this next year, it really will be. Outside of the Lions, I still think even with the Lions, the schedule they have, it's going to make it a little bit more interesting. But I just think these teams that won 14, 12, like the Bears, it's going to be a little bit of a battle. I'm not saying I think the Bears are going to be second, but I do. Listen, I think maximum wins 10. That's good. That's in the NFC North. 10 wins is pretty good.
So where do you think you think that you already said the Packers will be 12-13?
Yeah, I think the Packers will be 12 or 13 again. I think they'll just kind of run back with it last year. Yeah, because what did they have last year? 12.
The schedule's so much tougher for all the teams though. Like the Lions.
I guess I have to see.
You got to drop.
I guess I have to look at the schedules to know.
Yeah, they're tough. Like the Lions, and this is not me. Like the Lions are not winning 15 games. Like they could play how they did last year. They're going to win 13 on this schedule. Like they have a tough schedule, and the Packers got to play pretty much all those same teams. So it's the win total is going to be down. The competition's still going to be there, but I don't think there's going to be as much winning. Like we're not going to see a 15, 13, and 12 win team in this division. Like it's going to come back down to reality a little bit win total wise.
Yeah, I mean, if you think the Packers will win 12-13, I think the Packers and
Packers had 11. So I would say they get around the same in my opinion. 10-11.
So what do you have the Vikings? Okay, my argument, I know yours with Sam Darnold, but let's say he's gone. Where would you put JJ with the Vikings? How many wins?
10.
So you think the Bears are 9-10 as well?
I think the Bears would be around there.
Crazy,
I think it's going to be again, I'm not. That's why I took a step back in this argument. I didn't say anything. I did not talk this whole argument. But I just don't
see where I'm coming from with that. Like
yes, but I just disagree. Where I think I think it's just a year one thing to where year one regime. You're not going to go out there and be second in the division. Like, yeah, you might have a couple games down the stretch where you have an opportunity to, but I think when push comes to shove, like you're talking about like Kevin O'Connell versus Ben Johnson, and you know, his first big time matchup as a head coach, I'm taking Kevin O'Connell. You know, Matt LaFleur versus Ben Johnson, and those first big, I'm still probably going to take Matt LaFleur until I see Ben do it. Like, I know Ben offensively can call those games, but like, hey, remember Dan Campbell the first couple of years, even when they started getting good, like he was messing up timeouts, like all of that stuff. Like, there are still things where you want to see what Ben's like, but to like put the foot down and be like, hey, right away, he's going to turn this team into the second team in the NFC North, the toughest division in the NFL. Like, that's where I take a step back and I'm going to let you two duke that out. I disagree. Respectfully, Jeff, but I still think they're not going to be 5 wins again.
Yeah, I think the NFL is one of the only sports where you can make this argument, because we've seen teams all the time like go down, go up, go down, go up.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like not everything in the NFL is great unless you're rebuilding from scratch like the Lions. Then there's like progression. But I've seen teams like the Broncos, literally the worst situation. They get Sean. I know Sean Payton. I understand. But boom, playoff team. It's like, it's not as crazy in the NFL. Now, like the NBA, you know, the NHL, baseball, I guess if you have the right, depends on who your owner is, what you're spending. But you get my point. The NFL, there's a reason why they have the term worst to first in the NFL, because you never know every year. Like the Commanders came out of nowhere. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll see. All right. Let's get to mailbag. We got about 8 minutes left, so drop questions. We'll answer them. If you want to ask anything about what we just argued about or anything we talked about during the show, please drop them in the chat. We'll get to it. And by the way, quick little announcement. I won't be here the rest of the week. So Klotzy and Boone will be holding it down. So
hold it down.
Yeah, the doc tomorrow, and then Thursday, Friday of the girl.
I think Thursday we're going to do the watch party for the. I don't know how people will tune in.
That.
Yeah, I don't know if people will tune in. I don't want to like switch it up if people are tuning in for a show. But I mean, I'm guessing the whole country is going to be watching the game, so we might as well do like a watch party for it. That's just my thought.
Ask the people. You want to see a watch party on Thursday?
We'll see what the people say.
The patriotic. Yeah, we need for the country, Boone. Okay.
Again, if it's majority of the people are like, let's do a watch party, let's just do that. I'm in for it because I'm gonna have the game on no matter what. Trying to host the show and watch the game. I mean, this is gonna.
Did you guys? I just realized like 2 days ago, my buddy at work's a big hockey. I didn't realize this was like in place for the All-Star game for NHL.
I thought the All-Star game was still going on. I think they're gonna.
No, this is like, dude, that's like NBA. Take notes. NFL. I don't know. You can't do that because I don't know like how they split that up. Pretty much everybody's American, but that's how you turn some heads for an All-Star weekend.
Let me see.
Could have been better timing too.
I'm putting up a poll so people can just vote. Watch party on Thursday. USA versus Canada. I think it's a great idea.
This is unbelievable, Dan. If that's for the All-Star game, I don't know if they're going to do it every year, but this has been unbelievable.
I mean,
we got to come like red, white, and blued out too.
Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier. I don't know how much like red, white, and blue stuff I have, so I'm gonna have to throw some stuff together. I'll figure it out though. I wish I had like a bald eagle costume I could throw on.
A bald eagle costume. Yeah, well, the votes are dominating. I mean, it's yes, majority.
Okay, so we'll just do a watch party. So we have the doc tomorrow, watch party Thursday, and then Friday, Klotz and I will be on for like 90 minutes, and then the rest of the boys will hop on and we'll do first round mock, which should be fun.
That'll be interesting. Checking it out. Depends. I'll probably be intoxicated.
No, Jeff, you need that. You're gonna be in Vegas. Have a good fucking time. Hey, Thursday too, Boone. My birthday. Celebrate.
Your birthday's Thursday?
It is.
Oh,
how is this just coming up 2 days before?
I don't get it.
He doesn't like the attention.
It's not even that. It's just like a birthday's like a day where you're like forced to be happy, and it's just like whatever, dude.
It's like my dad. My dad always says, "Just another year."
I mean, I'm not gonna be the guy where it's like, "Oh, it's just another day," but it's just like, even like a birthday. Like I don't, whatever. Give me cake.
I did not know your birthday was this Thursday, Klotz. That's crazy, man.
I honestly, I forgot. Like I woke up today, like shit, my birthday's in 2 days.
That's nuts, dude. Congrats, man.
My Jordan year, not my LeBron year. My Jordan year.
Oh, yeah.
My Jimmy Butler, Chicago. Wait, where's he? He was 21 in Chicago. Damn.
So So
was that Jaden Ivey year? Was Jaden Ivey 23?
Darius Slay. Come on now.
Carlton Davis. 24.
Yeah, come on now, be better.
Who is 23 on the Lions?
They retired it for Darius.
Yeah. Why'd you say that so serious? They're tired.
Matter of factly.
Yeah.
Congrats, Klotz, 23, dude. That's a big year, dude. I'm old, man. Jeez, I wish I was 23
Hey, look
again.
Big shout out. Here's Johnny. He says join the Air Force after USA defeated Russia and won the gold. Well, thank you for your
Shout
service.
out.
We actually met him.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, great guy, awesome guy, and thanks for serving the country, my man. Look
Yeah,
at that.
appreciate
After
that.
USA
That's
beat Russia, he said it.
That was like
love.
tensions were high. Like it was like, okay, we might nuke each other right now. Soviet Union's got it going. Come on. That was like all time patriotic. I said it the other day. Like after they were booing the national anthem, I felt like you were saying, like the bald eagle, like the fucking Metallica, the AC/DC. I could just feel it coursing through my veins. Like I haven't felt that patriotic in a while. Not even on 4th of July. Like, come on now,
Wait.
America, it's on its way back.
Carlton Davis was 23. I was right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I was say I thought you were.
Yeah,
right there.
I don't know why he second guessed that. Yeah, 23.
Who else wears 23?
I feel like it's a very common number. We're just thinking of absolutely nobody right now.
It's a historic number. Yeah, the greatest basketball player ever.
Marcus Camby.
Go. Big
Mitch
man down
Richmond.
low.
Yeah.
Mitch Richmond. with a
Draymond
fucking-
Green. It's your Draymond year.
Hey, Coach
All right,
Walk
that's
said, Lucas, is your girlfriend going to take you to a nice restaurant like Chili's?
Honestly, I'm gonna try to run it back with the gift card to get it figured out. And then if it doesn't work, then yeah, she'll definitely be paying.
Hey, Trey Burke.
Fucking $500 on Valentine's Day weekend. She can get me right for my birthday. Be good.
I'm just Austin Day.
Love her.
I mean, okay. I mean, turn on some Trey songs or yeah. Trey Songz always does.
Bubba Wallace. Oh, it's your Bubba Wallace year, man.
Nah, yeah, we're not doing that. Shout out. Hey, Bubba Wallace, though, I am hip to him. I'm trying to think. I know Kyle Busch because of you, Boone.
Yep.
Grew up, Danny Hamlin, knew him. Bubba Wallace.
Danny Hamlin.
Kyle Gordon.
Oh, dude, by the way, hold on. This guy, dude, can I play this video for you guys before we end the show? One of the best interviews
Michael
of all
Daly knows
time.
ball.
Triple dipper for that.
Michael Daly knows ball.
This is one of the
We were
best
talking
interviews
about this yesterday, were we not?
Said
You get the big mouth bites. The
he said triple dipper for that ass.
I forget the chicken chunks.
The chicken chunks is unbelievable. I've never heard someone say chicken chunks. I mean, that just sounds gross, dude. That sounds like dog food.
It does sound gross now that you say it.
Hey, this guy, yeah, he races in like one of the lower. He's not in like the main the Sprint Cup or whatever, but he's in one of the lower ones. His name's Cletus McFarland. In this interview, dude, I think he's a YouTuber. That I'm pretty sure he's a YouTuber that turned into a racer. He is one of the most electric and funniest guys I've ever seen. I mean, dude,
look at the chick, too.
Listen to this.
Obviously, with Cletus in the field, I know this isn't how you wanted it to come to a close. What was your experience like as a whole?
Well, I was having the best day of my life, ripping around Daytona like a bald eagle. Out, avoided a wreck, which was awesome. I thought I was the best driver to ever exist in that moment. And it's probably because my sleeves were cut off that I was able to pull off that maneuver, come down pit road. Then someone slammed into my rear left quarter, spun me out, lived through that, got some fresh tires, went back out there. I'm hot dogging into 1 and 2, and
he said hot dogging?
The car lost it in front of me, and I saw it, didn't have enough brakes to get slowed down before it, and tried to go around it. Misread it, zigged instead of zagged when I should have zagged. I zigged, and bam!
Dude, this is like a young NASCAR Chris.
I hate that for you.
The wham!
Bam! Blew the front end right off my hot rod.
Blew the front end right off my hot rod.
So is his name Garrett Mitchell or was it Cletus?
Cletus McFarland.
Okay.
So who's Garrett Mitchell?
I don't know. Who's Garrett Mitchell?
They had it on the screen. That was like
see the name under his fucking.
I don't know. I think his name's Cletus
The whole time
McFarland.
he was talking, it says Garrett Mitchell, and it has this picture up there. That's why I was like, "What's going on?"
No, I think maybe that's his real name. I don't know.
Oh, that's his stage name.
His YouTube, because he's a YouTuber, I think.
His real name's Garrett Mitch. Okay, that makes sense.
Cletus McFarland. Dude, one of the greatest names of all time. And
that's comedy.
I was just ripping around Daytona like a bald eagle.
Zigged and zagged instead of just zigging or whatever the fuck he is.
I was hot dogging through turns 1 and 2.
Oh, dude, he's got 4 million on YouTube. He's doing good stuff.
Dude, that's
we should get him on the show, Boone.
Yeah,
I would love to.
About anything too.
Yeah, I would love to, dude. He's probably too big now after this weekend. I mean, he just blew up. I mean, he's 4 million.
Thanks for showing me that, Boone. Made my day better. Needed that.
It was one of the funniest things I've seen.
Did you see what was Frankie racing?
Yeah, he's been racing for a while, a couple years. It's weird. Yeah, dude, he's been racing for like years, and like every time Daytona comes around, he's a truck. He races the trucks, and every time Daytona comes around, it's just like people just re-put out there, like, oh my gosh, the kid from Malcolm in the Middle.
Isn't it like Frankie Muniz or something like that?
Yeah,
Muniz.
Dude, great show, by the way. Malcolm in the Middle. Oh my god, loved watching that before school. Had what was his name? Not Dewey, the other one. It was Dewey, Malcolm, and then was it Chris?
I can't remember.
The kid with like the spiked hair that was always just fucking with people.
Yeah.
I
don't remember the name, but
I just found out. I mean, this can't be real, right? I mean, Rick C. Like, there's no way you met a guy. There's no way, dude.
No.
What are we doing? There's no way.
Bad parenting. That's just bad parenting.
No way a parent would ever do that. I just can't believe it. All right.
If you did that to your kid, you should get your kid taken away from you.
Yeah.
I mean, the government should be like, you're done.
Yeah, that's messed up.
If a doctor approves of that, I don't even know if the doctors are approving. Like, you're doing the birth certificate. You would have to be like, no.
Yeah, no.
I'm not doing this in my hospital. It's not happening today.
I would have just gave it.
Mom and dad are probably brother and sister as well in that situation.
Okay, let's get out of here, Klotz. That was uncalled for.
All right.
Hey, go watch some Cletus McFarland highlights.
Come on now.
Appreciate you all. If you have any suggestions for what to do in Vegas, message me on anything.
The Sphere.
I already had someone comment yesterday. It was super nice of them. Just like they lived in Vegas. They're like, hey, check out these spots. I'm like, man, I appreciate you. All right, we'll get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, they'll be back. They'll cross the guys here. So see you then, 8 p.m. But until then, have a great Tuesday. We will catch you. Peace.